Saturday and Sunday, no record heat, but it's a bit of a jolt to the system. Sunny skies, mid-90s. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Deroy Murdock.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
That's a real shocker, Steve. The idea that inflation is so much weaker than anticipated. That's a real shocker, Steve. The idea that inflation is so
Well, you dropped it.
That's
There you go. There's CNBC says that inflation is going down a little bit. Is that what they said there?
It's a real shocker, Steve. Annie.
What was I just listening to recently? And it was a congressional hearing. I think it might have had to do with the UFO stuff, but there was somebody being questioned named Wiggins.
No.
And this person was questioning here and questioning there, and every time she'd go to Wiggins, they would say Wiggins. And I was like, I think maybe we should throw that in the show. But yeah, that just happened. So some numbers came in. I want to start the show off with this because, let's see, Ryan, you're taking Thursday and Friday off? Mm-hmm. Your suspension is kicking in?
Everything I've ever done is mounting up into Thursday and Friday.
He appealed the suspension. It was originally a week, but he appealed it, got it down to 2 days, and it's Thursday and Friday. He's got to go to Wisconsin.
I got to go to Milwaukee with my friends.
No friends. We're just sending you to Wisconsin to think about what you've done.
As long as it's near the Dells.
Can you fix anything in Wisconsin while you're there?
I'm not going to fix elections if that's what you mean, because I'm a Republican.
I am from Illinois, and I'm here to help. The inflation numbers come in, and this is when I tend to watch these networks the most, like the CNBCs of the world, just to watch them react to information when it comes in. You do have to have a little context to how they report things normally to kind of fit it into the context of like if they're reacting in a specific way. But I think, and I'll ask you this question here after we get done listening to this clip, Ryan, but I think that we need to discuss in greater detail, probably with some experts on the show, how bad not the Joe Biden numbers were, but how bad they lied about him. Here, this is from today.
There's the exporter, there's the importer, and there's the consumer. Mm-hmm. And so far, the consumer is carrying the least of the burden. I can tell you what's going on right now in companies is they're going product by product, going through the elasticities, what they think the consumer can absorb in terms of price increase without destroying demand. And they're finding out that they cannot pass through as much of the price increase as they want.
So what you have CNBC reporting there is that the tariff implementation, while some of the numbers of dollars that are coming into the United States due to these tariffs, it's jaw-dropping. And what we're hearing here on CNBC is that the exporter and the importer are the ones carrying the burden mostly, well, the importer, through the tariff position that Donald Trump has put into place. The consumer is carrying the least of the burden of what Donald Trump has implemented. And you're seeing an enormous amount of income in the United States. And if you've paid any attention, and my ears always perk up when I hear this, Donald Trump's like, yeah, I'd like to eliminate income tax for people who make, I think the number is usually $200,000.
It's around there. 150's been floated.
And I don't think that's household. I think that's individual income.
That's pretty good.
So, are we on that path? I don't know. Is this sustainable? Is this just replicable with every year, that this is just the new way of things? I don't know. But what we're told over and over and over again is who pays the tariff, and the Democrats specifically told us the consumer. And today they're like, ooh, that's not really how this is going.
And this is exactly what the Trump administration anticipated. And that will not get reported because they've been saying this the whole time. We're going to do tariffs. It will be mostly absorbed by the companies and by the nations involved. And this is why all of these countries are fighting it so hard, because they know it hits them.
The other part of this, too, is the industry that is being brought back to the United States. Now, I feel like what we're peddling in right now is a lot of promises, a lot of commitments, because you can't be like, we're going to invest $1 billion in the United States, and then there's a building, and there's hundreds or thousands of jobs. These are longer-term implementations that are going to have to be stuck to in order for us to reap the benefits of. But I'll say this as well. I've talked so much about reshaping culture in the United States to value, once again, the work you put in for what you get out. That's a huge deal. But a lot of what needs to be implemented in order for us to see the plan through all the way. Because if Donald Trump has a plan that's going to take, let's say, 6 years to fully prove itself, if it gets implemented on day one, he still is relying on somebody else to get elected in a nationwide general election to stick to the plan. Because as we've seen Donald Trump do to so many Joe Biden executive orders, day one of a Democrat presidency in 2029, poof, it's all gone. I think that's one of the main reasons. This is not rocket science. I'm not a genius for identifying this, but the reason to go so hard so fast is because they need as much runway as possible to get these things off the ground in a way that shows the American people we have solutions. We have ideas. I think that's like isn't it an interesting concept in government to elect people who have ideas and, I'll say it, the balls to implement them. The last administration, love him or hate him, everything he did was a political reaction to the moment. Mm-hmm. And the wind could shift at any given time, and they would shift positions on things, go all in, and then all of a sudden back all the way off. There was nothing about the last administration that was definitive, other than we want to run in the direction of what looks like socialism. I was listening to Kevin McCarthy on Outnumbered just before this show started, and there's a lot of talk out there right now. I guess Kamala Harris is on a book tour.
Yeah.
Have you read her book?
Yeah. Loved it.
Changed your mind?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I read a Stephen King book recently.
Oh, they get confused all the time.
And yeah.
It was
it around.
Horror. Yes.
It was horror.
It was horror.
Yeah.
Horror. Yes.
It's about a nation in decline. Scary.
All Stephen King is doing is just the Democratic National Committee's platform.
But I walked away from it knowing that I'm probably a racist.
That was the foreword.
Right.
Kevin McCarthy said on Outnumbered, he goes, Kamala Harris spent $1 billion in a month or two, whatever, trying to get elected.
180 days or whatever that is.
Sure.
107.
He said,
107.
You can't name 3 things she would have done if she would have gotten elected.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's rough.
Let's test the theory here right now. Name 3 things that, and I'm going into this conversation by articulating that Donald Trump came in with wild ideas. The tariff implementation was a wild idea that wasn't even politically blessed within his party. Steve Moore, who's on our show on Mondays, most Mondays, he's always, if I ask him about tariffs, he goes, Annie, you know I'm not a tariff guy. I'm like, you say it every time we know it. And he'll still say that, but he'll also acknowledge the fact that some of his biggest fears about the tariff implementation haven't come to be yet. And we were told the sky was going to fall. You remember, what was it, Liberation Day?
Mm-hmm.
April 2nd.
No,
it was
right.
April 1st because he thought that was unlucky.
Right.
Can you imagine? The leader of the free world's like, I think we should change the entire structure of our American government, but not on April 1st. That would be ridiculous. So he's got this idea to go do something like this. And even people within his own party are like, gosh, I don't know. If I look at my 401k way more than I should, but I just like to monitor it. I'm trying to learn it as I go. I want to know what the ups look like so that I know what the downs look like, or the stock market or whatever. It's really interesting to look at a year or maybe the year to date. you can pick out where Liberation Day was. You remember all the people who were pulling their hair out going, how's your 401k doing now? Because it dipped for a minute there. My 401k is better than ever. I'm here to say right now, a round of applause, because that portion of the economy is doing great. Is it not obvious? I mean, it seems obvious to an economically ignorant person like myself. That's why we have experts on. And Ryan.
Thanks.
I was actually meaning that to be a compliment. It didn't really come out that way. I know that you follow these things. I truly, in my heart of hearts, was trying to say something nice about you.
I halfway believe that.
It's like my heart won't even allow it.
Yeah, your heart will go on.
Next poll question: would Annie have let Ryan on the headboard in the ocean? Do you know that? What's his name? Cameron. James Cameron. Yes. Do you know that Candace Cameron, Deej? Do you know that James Cameron got so sick of hearing people talk about whether or not Leo could have fit on there that he ran a test and made people get in frigid cold water?
I just learned this.
And then he was like, ooh, it looks like he might have been able to fit.
he did this years ago, and none of us knew it.
Yeah. I think none of us knew it because he didn't get the answer he wanted.
Yeah, maybe.
What was I talking about?
How great I am at economics.
Why did that bring me back to my point? Donald Trump has ideas, and he's willing. He has the know-how, and he's surrounded himself with some economically brilliant people that have said, no, this is going to work. And even if it's not the most popular thing, I mean, like, what are we going to do? Poll test the word tariff? You poll test it, and they get the results, and they're like, oh, I don't know, not even the Republicans love it. And then so he starts saying, the most beautiful word, tariff. It's like, people don't like it. I'll make them like it, or at least make them trust me. The American people were served with two options last time. One that was a little risky because they wanted to do big, bold things to identify the way we were headed as a country, to say this isn't sustainable. I don't know if what you could think from the Trump administration, I don't know if what they're going to do is going to solve all of our problems, but I know sure as sugar that if we continue on the way that we're headed right now, it's going to continue to be a failure. We are careening off into an abyss that we can see full-fledged, eyes wide open. And for whatever particular reason, we're not going to try wild things to make a very drastic 90-degree turn so that we don't go over the cliff. Donald Trump said, we're going to go over the cliff. We're not. Donald Trump said we're going to turn away from the cliff. We're going to try crazy things that we believe will work, and they have so far. There's nothing that this president has done this quickly in his administration that has been a complete and total failure. There's still time. Maybe it'll still collapse, but we have somebody in there who's willing to look at the heart and soul of America and give it back, which means taking government out of the solution to every problem and giving it back to the people. I'm so grateful that we're even getting to watch some of these other networks acknowledge inflation's doing much better under this president, and maybe that's even with real factual numbers. All right, a break right now. Will Chamberlain's going to join us when we come back, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. We're going to talk a little bit about law and order, the president's willingness to go in hard. This is what he said. Was it yesterday where he said these people are committing vicious crimes and it's time we get vicious back with them? Vicious, that's a particular word. That's a choice. Will Chamberlain on the Annie Fry Show next.
The longer my tears fell, the wider the river. It killed me.
The Lutheran Elementary School Association, Lutheran schools are all over the St. Louis bi-state region in Missouri and Illinois alike. 34 elementary schools for you to choose from. And you know what? The thing I really like about Lutheran schools, there's a consistency, of course, in the education being top-notch. The fact that there is special education in most of the schools. They support IEPs and special needs. But if you've been to one Lutheran school, you haven't really been to them all. There are smaller ones. There are larger ones. They're really fantastic at the way that they address the uniqueness of the communities that they're in and provide a top-notch education where when you turn your child over to the educators, the ministry of a Lutheran school, you can feel confident that what is obviously right and what is obviously wrong is going to be identified. And in the midst of all of that, there's an element of repentance and forgiveness that's involved. That is so important for our kids to be learning as they're growing up. If you've thought about something alternative to public school, consider a Lutheran school, grade school or high school near you. And remember, tuition assistance is available. It's accessible for you, for your children, for your grandchildren. Try a Lutheran school. LisaSTL.org.
If you're thinking about replacing your windows before winter hits, which is smart, don't keep making the same mistake. Stop replacing your failing vinyl windows on your home now with more vinyl. Lakeside Renovation and Design will install Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows. They're built to last, they're energy efficient, plus they look stunning, and they're custom built for your home. Installed by Lakeside's expert team, and they're going to offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. If you're ready to upgrade your windows once and for all, you need to visit windowsbylakeside.com. Schedule your free consultation today.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Embassy in Ukraine called and said, we'll help you bring her home. And her family said no. They said she loved America. We're going to bury her here. So I think we can give her an America to be proud of. As Mr. Barnacle said, something here is broken, and we're here to fix it. We're happy to take your questions.
So there you have from Charlotte, the talking about this Ukrainian refugee who was murdered on public transportation. You know, we have a system set up where one political party very aggressively wants us to give up our cars and, live in walkable communities and put ourselves in positions where we can take public transportation for the environment. Well, what if the environment threatens your life? I mean, it doesn't seem sensible to be pro-crime and pro-putting all of these people in tight public spaces. The Trump administration seems to comment differently on it, and I'm looking forward to our next guest here. Will Chamberlain joins us, a senior counsel at the Article 3 Project, at Will Chamberlain on X. Welcome back to the show, Will. Thanks for being with us today.
Good to be with you as always, Annie.
I wanted to ask you about this post you put on X here in the last day. There is an entire class of people who simply cannot conform their behavior to the law. They impose enormous costs on the rest of us. They deprive us of the ability to use public transport with our families. They can make downtowns unwalkable. And you go on, people can read the full thing there. But what I'm seeing in your post is the acknowledgement that common sense isn't as common as it needs to be. And I'm wondering how the Trump administration and the justice system has failed and where it needs to be fixed in order to give us the common sense safety that we citizens deserve.
So yeah, I think JD Vance actually had a good clip from yesterday on Matt Gaetz where he made the point that the number of people that we're talking about in this class is actually extremely small, less than 1% of the population, but everybody knows them. And if you've walked down the street in a downtown and got screamed at by a crazy person, if you've felt extremely uncomfortable in a subway car because someone's just behaving very strangely and threateningly,
At a
or
Phillies
if you've been
game,
mugged or carjacked,
Yeah.
any of this. So this class of people is very small, but it exists, and it does impose these enormous costs on everybody else. The solution is obvious. You put them in jail. The jail is the solution. We had 3 strikes laws, and for a reason, because people who were routinely getting arrested over and over again. The problem wasn't justice for the third crime that might have been relatively minor in comparison to some of the more violent crimes they had committed in the past. It's an acknowledgement that because you've demonstrated an inability to conform to the law, you need to be in jail to incapacitate you and protect the rest of society from what you might do in the future.
Well, go ahead. I want to.
Yeah, so that's the core thing people forget. There's a lot of different purposes to criminal punishment. Justice, deterrence are among them. But incapacitation is a very important one. The idea that a big part of criminal justice is simply taking people who are prone to commit violent crimes or prone to commit crimes more generally and saying, it's not you are a danger to society. Even if this isn't about being mad at you or angry at you, this is about protecting everybody else from what you might do.
Yeah, and I wish that we could institutionalize. I feel like in our lifetimes, I'm 41 years old, we've gone from the obvious answer of taking mentally ill people and not throwing them in a jail cell with the people who are not mentally ill but also very violent and criminal. But why would we have gotten away from that? And my understanding is in the Charlotte area that there were some super lefty NGOs that funded to the 7 figures amount this idea that we need less people in our jails. Like, I don't even understand that type of quota monitoring of jails. Like, you have the amount of people in jail that need to be in jail, and that's that. But apparently not.
No, it goes all the way to the top of the state of North Carolina, when Governor Roy Cooper in 2020, who's now running for Senate, by the way, put together a task force led by then Attorney General Josh Stein, now the governor of North Carolina, a racial equity in criminal justice task force. And you can look at the recommendations. They put them all online. It's a complete, it's every single Soros prosecutor, reform prosecutor, dream policy proposal you could imagine. End cash bail, end habitual violent felon status, reduce the use of habitual felon status so that, and basically every single policy proposal is tilted towards releasing more people from jail, releasing them from pretrial detention, reducing their sentences, preventing the prosecutors from taking those people who are just a fundamental danger to the public, again, members of this class of people who have an inability to conform their conduct to the law, and prevent you from putting them in jail. And so it's really rich when you have both Cooper and Stein posting on X that the problem, as they see it, is the lack of money, the lack of funding in their budgets for additional police, when it's the police who did their job. The police arrested these people 14 times. It's on you as the people who are running the prosecutor's offices to ensure that these people are put in prison and stay in prison.
Yeah, completely. Here in St. Louis, we know very well Kim Gardner, who was a Soros DA here, who's now been kicked out of her job. But the police here working their tails off in an incredibly violent area, putting their lives on the line. Like, I don't know how you could be married to a police officer. I don't know how I could send my husband out to fight crime that was never going to be prosecuted. Is it consolidated? You said this all goes to the top in North Carolina, but you're talking about the funding of things in North Carolina that we've certainly seen here in St. Louis, and it's been replicated across the country. Is there anything illegal about any of this? I mean, you can put your campaign dollars where you want and try to get people who think your way to get elected?
I don't think there's nothing off the top of my head. There'd have to be some sort of fraud engaged in by these people, but they to their limited credit, they were extremely transparent about what they were trying to do. They put in place people who they said, we need reform prosecutors. George Soros even wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal explaining exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to get reform prosecutors elected in major cities in the country, meaning people who would prosecute fewer people. And when he sentenced them to less time in prison, because prison bad mass incarceration bad. It's too racist. It's not equitable. Blah blah blah. There are too many black people in prison, and so the people who have committed crimes who are black people, because there are too many black people in prison, they need to be released sooner. And voila, we've got it. And now there's a dead Ukrainian refugee murdered brutally in cold blood on a light rail train in North Carolina because the residents of Charlotte are too squeamish to say that people who commit crimes should be in jail.
I mean, we're speaking with Will Chamberlain right now. It's an incredibly political investment that's gotten us to this point. It doesn't seem like common sense, back to your post on X, that common sense is prevalent in any of it. At the very foundation of it is a very like a power-hungry political argument that's being made. And you're talking about the people who are in jail. There's too many black people in jail. We need to get less black people in jail. I think a lot of people who vote to support these people have their heart in the right place. They feel like they hear something like that and they feel like that sounds good to me. Is the money that's being invested, or the people behind the curtain manifesting this crisis of turning criminals into victims, is their heart in the right place too with what they're investing in? Are they trying to make societies better and it's just not working?
I think they have a moral inversion. I don't think they're evil by definition, but I think their morality is inverted. I think their care and concern is sort of pathologically redirected to the criminal as opposed to the victim who's no longer here to speak up about it. That would be the way to frame it. And it's the decision of the media and hard left activists who, I think there was actually a very good podcast on Megyn Kelly where Andrew Klavan described how essentially what the media does is it cherry picks a particular incident that is completely contrary to the actual facts on the ground about what the problem with crime is. Like the George Floyd situation was totally anomalous. It's not even clear there was a crime committed there, but that's beside the point. That's an anomalous incident in the world of criminal justice, whereas an extraordinarily common one is simply the murder, the brazen murder of an innocent person by somebody who should have been locked up, who had committed, been arrested a dozen times and committed 3 or 4 violent crimes before they finally graduated to murder. And, there was something, Whoopi Goldberg said something on The View today, which was just preposterous. She's like, you need to not politicize this. And the thing is, it is fundamentally a political problem because this isn't just an act of God. This isn't a random person nobody'd ever heard of who had no record, who just snapped one day and killed someone. No, this is someone who had enormous number of interactions with the criminal justice system and with the institutional care system. He had been diagnosed as schizophrenic, arrested 14 times, arrested most recently earlier this year. Thus, it's an avoidable crime. If our policies were different, he would have been in jail. It's very much like illegal alien crime. Illegal alien crime is avoidable because if you secure the border, the illegal aliens wouldn't be here. So I think the crimes like this, where there is an obvious policy failure that is a root cause of the possibility of the crime, those are the crimes that are political, and those are the crimes we have a right to say as Americans, we don't want to tolerate these. We want these people in jail. This man should have been in jail. The fact that he is not is traceable to a policy failure.
Whoopi saying don't make it political means I know she knows that she's going to lose the political battle on this one pretty hard. Before we let you go, Will Chamberlain speaking with us right now, the senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. I want to ask you a little bit about, I don't know if it's lawfare, but the activist judges that exist. Really what we're talking about in Charlotte is a perversion of a justice system that isn't serving the people the way it should have been. And that's usually on a much more local level. But we continue to see the president implement things, activist judges show up. So it seems to be a lot of the same names over and over and over again. Some being fast-tracked to the Supreme Court. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to tell us what you're watching the most closely and what you think people need to be paying attention to.
I mean, you need to be paying attention to all these immigration cases. We just won a big one against a district court judge in Los Angeles who tried to constrain the way that ICE was doing immigration stops, saying that you couldn't use the fact that somebody's in a Home Depot parking lot speaking Spanish, loitering, as a reason to go stop them and inquire about their immigration status, when literally everybody in California knows. I don't know about the rest of the country, but if you were in California and you grew up, group of people speaking Spanish in a Home Depot parking lot means that's likely illegal labor. That's illegal day labor. So, that's a huge problem. There's been so many different injunctions, and the judges keep going back that I don't have a particular one, but I would say go to judicialsabotage.org, where we're keeping track of all these ridiculous injunctions going on against the administration.
Did you listen to Amy Coney Barrett's interview with Brett Baer? I know she's got a book coming out, so you kind of.
I didn't. I mean, she's been better lately. I think she was a little reluctant to step into the fray. I think she's still a little bit of a law professor at heart, but to the Supreme Court's credit, they've finally gotten around. And I mean, the Trump administration is on an epic winning streak at the Supreme Court. I think they're basically undefeated every time they go up to try and get an injunction stayed or reversed. They're knocking them all out. And to the point that you have lower court judges complaining to the Atlantic that the Supreme Court doesn't have their back. Well, yeah, no kidding. Maybe you should, conform we expect criminals to conform their behavior to the law. We expect judges to conform their decisions to the law.
Yeah. Hello, Republic. Meet the Constitution.
Right.
Loyal to to political. That's funny. Well, Will Chamberlain, give us that website again. You said Judicial Sabotage?
Yeah, judicialsabotage.org, and of course article3project.org for all our other activities.
I've definitely go to Article 3 Project quite a bit, but I'm going to check out the other one. Will Chamberlain, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. Will Chamberlain, follow him on X. There are some people who are on X and they kind of just, give willy-nilly opinions about things, and they're in it. They're the people who are in the cycle, in the flow. Will actually thinks out loud on X, and I always appreciate his take because it's oftentimes somewhere in the lane, but a little bit on his own. It's just unique, and I appreciate that. So follow him on X at Will Chamberlain. Judicialsabotage.org, you said? Yes. I'm going there right now. All right, quick break. Ryan, come back. Would like to talk to you again. The YouTube live chat poll for today. I should have asked Will this. Maybe I'll ask him privately. If the whole truth were exposed, whose exposure would you enjoy the most? Anthony Fauci, Joe Biden, Adam Schiff, or Barack Obama? Who do you want to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth about? That's the Annie Fry YouTube channel live chat poll. Go vote. We'll get back here and discuss it when we come back. The Diamond Shop. If you are going to marry him, you need to make sure that you got something pretty on your finger. So if you are the type of person who wants to be involved in that shopping ahead of time for that ring, or if you're someone looking for a ring and maybe you want a place you can go, you can get guidance, somebody who's going to respect you, not treat you, I don't know. People, I think going into a jewelry shop, you just walk in thinking like, I guess I'm going to give you all my money. It doesn't have to be that way, especially through the end of September right now. At the Diamond Shop, they have 30% off all in-stock jewelry, but an extra 10% for sapphire jewelry. So 40% off all in-stock sapphire jewelry. There's a VIP special, as there usually is. All you got to do is go online to thediamondshop.net, sign up, and become a VIP. It will take maybe 45 seconds of your time, unless you don't know the question answers like, what is your name? What is your email address? Would you like to be a VIP? That's pretty much it. Go online to thediamondshop.net and go visit them in Clayton and let them know what you're looking for. Find them online at thediamondshop.net.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service and Environmental Resources. At Hansen's, we manufacture a full line of garden and landscape products that are perfect for your outdoor project. Pick up any of our products at World Outdoor Emporium, Kirkwood Materials, or a Hansen's location near you.
Your garage door is always there for you, rain or shine. Are you taking your garage door for granted? Is it screeching and whining for attention? Trust Overhead Door Company of St. Louis to keep your garage door reliable. Maybe the old weather stripping needs replaced to keep out the cold and hot air. Call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, trusted here since 1926. For same-day service, call 314-781-5200 and schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Another reminder here on Wednesday, September 10th, that the Beach Boys are coming to town on the 21st of this month, not too far away, and we are giving you a chance to win tickets every single day at around 2:30. So stick around or come back at that time for another chance to win Beach Boys tickets. Our YouTube live chat poll today, if the whole truth were exposed, whose exposure would you enjoy the most? Anthony Fauci, Joe Biden, Adam Schiff, or Barack Obama? Sounded like there was a vote from the peanut gallery over there. 12:38. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Built in the heartland, for the heartland. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. How do you feel about this poll today?
I like this poll today.
You didn't give me any suggestions on names. I asked for them.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry about that. I would suggest, I don't know.
Who did I
Anthony
miss?
Fauci, Joe Biden.
Shush. If the whole truth were exposed, whose exposure would you enjoy the most? Fauci, Biden, Schiff, or Obama?
Did you miss any names? Is that the
Oh,
question?
I only had 4. These are my 4 favorites, so I win.
It's not Schiff, but even though he's just annoying. He's such a gnat, and he won't go away. Although, let's see if they get him on mortgage fraud. Then
I think he
away.
knows way more. I think he knows a lot.
Well,
and I think he's been in, I think that the Bidens and the Obamas of the world have shifts to get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and I just really detest him. So I'm a little on tilt with wanting to see Adam Schiff get his comeuppance. He's just such a squirrel.
I think I know how you're voting.
Yeah, Schiff.
He's not on my radar. I mean, he's annoying. I think he knows what he's been given and knows just that. I don't think he's really a major player, but he's such a slime ball. And
I think he's the stooge.
The stuff that he is put out there that's completely false, and knowing that it was false when he was putting it out just to smear mainly Trump, but really any Republican or anybody his way.
Do you think that all that stuff that he was doing was his idea?
I don't know.
No.
I have no idea, but he's certainly willing to do it.
I think that if Adam Schiff, if we were to get the whole truth and nothing but the truth on Adam Schiff, it would implicate so many people, which is, I think he's the string you pull out that unravels the whole sweater.
I hope so.
I think Obama is his own sweater. I think Biden is his own sweater. Fauci is my second.
Well, here's the thing. They have a string on Adam Schiff right now. That's what's interesting.
And Fauci.
And Fauci as of now, yeah. So that's interesting. Fauci's certainly up there for me. I don't necessarily want to tip my hand entirely if we're not going to give our picks yet and influence everybody. But
you think you're going to say something and people are going to flock to do that?
I think every time I say YouTube live chat poll, people are like, YouTube live chat poll?
No, they're not.
I got to go do that.
They come vote like 4 days later and they're like, I couldn't find the poll anywhere. And they comment. God love every one of you. You can go to AnnieFryShow.com and at AnnieFryShow.com every day. The current live broadcast is up there. If you click on that live broadcast, it'll take you to the YouTube where the live chat is, as long as you're listening noon to 3, and you can vote. It's just a side note.
The only name on, I mean, there's other ones, but the one that I thought might have made this list would have been Epstein. But there's so much baggage with him now that Democrats have now become allies with Epstein files for some reason. I don't like all of a sudden you could have done this for a long time, and now, oh, it's a Trump talking point. Now I'm interested in it.
I think that the Epstein situation is bigger or separate than government.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Epstein thing is depravity. It's like a human rot that exists that has encapsulated a portion of our government power and influence. But I think it's one step removed, not smaller than, but one step removed from the representative government that we are supposed to have, the republic, if you can keep it. What are you Googling?
Rand Paul and all that stuff about Fauci. Because it's going to break. Can I just read it? It says, breaking from Rand Paul. Newly released emails show Fauci directed colleagues to, quote, delete this after you read it, unquote, dating back to February of 2020, right when it was starting. And then he denied it under oath.
What he wanted to be deleted was a communication that he had sent that was trashing Mark Meadows for pushing back on Fauci. It was a power struggle. But I mean, what did Fauci do? How long did he know? Was he responsible? How much of what he said was a lie? How much did he knowingly make up? How much did he perpetuate? Are there people who are dead today because of Anthony Fauci? I think the answer is absolutely yes. And why did he do it? Did he do it so he could have money and power? He was the highest paid person in government. Is that crazy or what? The highest paid person in government, Anthony Fauci.
And the guy who wrote the book, The Real Dr. Anthony Fauci, is now the head of Health and Human Services. How the turntables. But the problem here is that that delete this after you read it stuff, Rand Paul is saying the problem with that is that he denied doing that under oath.
Yeah, but he's had a pardon.
But he's got a pardon. So the question is, now what happens?
Well,
it's an auto pen too, right?
Yes, his auto pen pardon. I think it was Rand Paul himself that put this out. It might have been a couple months ago. That said that the actual challenge to the validity of Joe Biden's auto pen will be through Fauci. He is the way, because they could prove that he lied under oath, and Fauci can come back and say, I've got a pardon. And wasn't his pardon like the others for any crimes committed? Or was that just Hunter? I can't remember. There were so many.
I don't remember.
Thousands of clemency and pardons from Joe Biden's pen that was auto. But the idea that they have Fauci dead to rights for perjury, if he were to be challenged on that and Fauci goes, well, I have a pardon, then Rand Paul can say, well, we'll see about that, and then enter Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court gets involved in this, that's going to be popcorn, top-tier stuff to watch and see, because you want to talk about pulling a string out of a sweater and watching the whole thing fall apart. If the Supreme Court rules that the pardons by the Biden administration are null and void because the president didn't have anything to do with them, everything's back on the table.
Man, you talk about a case.
Except for one that he did sign, which was Hunter's.
Well, that is the problem with the whole thing, is that he did sign that one. If he had done auto pen for all of them, you could make the case, oh, that's just what he was doing. But he signed that one.
Yeah. And then I know Hunter's specifically, I think it was back to 2014. It was like for every crime committed.
Starting when he bought the laptop.
What laptop?
Which wasn't his.
Just had all those naked pictures of him on there doing drugs and hookers. It's time to take
Whose laptop doesn't? Of Hunter. We're in news. That's what I'm saying. We're just trying to follow the news. Download all the pictures.
I've downloaded
I keep
them.
kind of digging here. And
Is your computer the reason why this company has to keep doing tech stuff and reconfiguring everything?
Can't say.
How many laptops have you had to have taken from you?
3, 4.
Oh, no. I wish you just said 6 or 7. We'll be right back with Wiggins America. Signs that it's time to kick your adult child out of the house. No, say it ain't so. We'll be right back.
In my dreams, I know I'm gonna be with you, so I take my time.
rulerfoods.com. They are excited to see you. They're excited to take your delivery order. They're excited because they have the low prices. And when you shop at Ruler Foods, it's a little bit simpler to fill up your cart with the things that you need, maybe even the things that you want as well. I know we're all making those decisions when we go to the grocery store these days. Why not shop for less? When you shop at Ruler Foods, you're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to save on the things that you like to shop for, maybe even see some things that you haven't gotten in a while. When you go to Ruler Foods, they have name brands that you have come to love. They also carry Kroger brands at Ruler Foods prices. Let's talk about some of the things you can save now through September 16th. DiGiorno pizza or Home Chef pizza, just $5 for select varieties. Kroger chips, now 2 for $3, and top it off with Kroger dips and sour cream for only $1.69. If you're planning a party or a family dinner, you can grab Kroger Party Wings, delicious, only $7.88 for a 2.5-pound bag. And don't forget the Bar S skinless smoked sausage, a hearty 40-ounce pack for just $5.49. Those savings are yours in store or shipped to your door. Find the closest Ruler Foods to you at rulerfoods.com.
Mark Cox here. Join us live Thursday, September 11th at Chicken Ellie's in Eureka as we support Focus Marines Foundation. They're helping post 9/11 veterans transition to civilian life. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range. It's the Annie Fry Show.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! All right. These are ways to know if it's time to kick your little bird out of the nest.
Oh.
Your adult child. So we're not talking about a 14-year-old, Annie.
He's 15.
15. We're talking
And a
about
half.
an adult living under your roof. How do you know when it's time to pull the plug and force the change?
The change.
I
Do
maybe
you-
have put that poorly.
Do you look forward to when your kids are gone?
No, not really anymore. I'm to a point. I was thinking about this yesterday. When I had babies, I was like, I can't wait to get out of this phase. I did not
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
baby phase.
You had twins first.
And the twins is probably why. But I look back on it, and everybody said, oh, you'll look back on it really fondly. And I do.
Yeah?
I look back on it now, and I'm like, oh, it was really cute. But I also remember what I felt in that moment. I'm like, I wouldn't do it again.
The baby phase for me, I loved it. I don't love the recovery from pregnancy part of it. So I don't know. Obviously
That's my favorite part of it.
probably not. I really don't know how a man would feel about it because you have like this abrupt, total upheaval of your life. A woman, like for me to not be pregnant there's a huge upside there.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I was like super pumped. People would say, "Oh, you're not going to sleep when the baby's here." I'm like hell, I won't sleep. I don't sleep now because I'm so uncomfortable. I can hand that sucker over to my husband and go take a nap at least for a little bit if I want to. But the babies, I mean, it's just a different kind of challenge, and it's really just the fact there are times where you think to yourself, "It's never going to be like it was ever again," and then they move out and they leave you.
Not yet they haven't. I like this phase that I'm in. I don't know that I would ever say, well, we have to hold this. I don't want to try to keep it. But it's great. I enjoy it. And I would like the kids to be a part of our lives in whatever way they want.
Do you ever think that you wish you would have had more kids?
No, because of the way that we had to do it, because there was a lot of medical stuff involved. There's just not a lot of second guessing.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But you're content. You're happy where you are.
I mean, I'm not saying I would not have liked to have more, but there was no choice in it.
Yeah.
It was what it was. So anyway, getting your kids to move out, well, knowing when anyway, is what we're talking about here in Wiggins America. Step 1 is know where you are. The first task in moving your adult child toward independence is to assess where you are right now. Ask yourself, are you in a place where your boundaries are being crossed? Do you need to establish limits? Are you willing to allow your adult child to live in your home within those limits? Do you see your adult child as wanting to become independent? Is that something you could encourage?
So basically saying, if your kid wants to live at home with you while they're going to college, if they're working a job and they're coming and going, but they're not having to pay for rent, but they're kind of living an adult life, that cohabitation is a little bit more okay than mom still cutting the PBJs and diagonal triangles for them.
That would definitely be a part of that.
By the way, my kid's mom doesn't do that.
You don't make
your own-
PBJ for the kids?
I don't make anything for the kids. Make your own food.
Really, even for Molly?
No. Jared doesn't. She can do it, or her siblings can do it. The amount of cheese sticks that girl eats is record breaking. Mom, can I have a cheese stick? Sure. Cheese stick and a yogi.
Mm-hmm.
Yogurt.
We do a lot of cheese curds.
Okay. Can't knock
Equally good. Step 2 is change your view. Instead of picturing your adult child as a little bird whose wings won't hold him up when he leaves the nest, think of him as fully capable of flying. Our emotions can cause us to be so afraid of what will happen to our kids that we think of them as children rather than as adults. Okay. I guess that one hit pretty close to home then.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing I can say is that the thought of them leaving is terrifying to me. But so was the thought of them driving, and Charlie's driving right now, and he's good at it, and I'd be excited when he gets his license, or going to high school, or, playing in your first sporting event. They were all, dreadful things to think about, but then you get there, and they just happen, and you're just kind of excited for the new thing. So maybe it'll be like that, too.
This one seems pretty obvious, but they might not be. Shut down the parent ATM. The key to launching your adult birdie is to make depending on you more uncomfortable than to launch. If you're in that spot, which if you're listening to this, doesn't mean you're in that spot. That's just what we're talking about here. But if you have gotten to the point where your child seems like they're probably getting a little bit too old to live at home, or they're not seeking any independence, one way to shut that down is to cut off the money. Last one, enough is enough. Some parents have adult children at home who are abusing them verbally or even physically. This is the boundaries
hell
thing.
No.
You have the right to live in your own home free from abuse,
What is
intimidation, or disrespect.
See, if my kids turn into brats, I will physically use my foot to kick them out the door. That's the thing. You can stay here as long as you need to. But if disrespect sets in, I will tell you what, I have witnessed some kids, especially in the athletic world, when you're my son's playing sports, my daughters are playing sports, and I'm coaching, or my husband's coaching, or we're just around. Every once in a while you see a kid who just pays no mind to their parents.
Oh, yeah.
And, you never know what's going on at home. But I don't understand that. And, maybe I couldn't understand it because I don't know the foundational circumstances. But if you're living off the fruit of the land and disrespecting me, no freaking way.
My kids saw a kid doing that in the store the other day, and they were aghast.
Wait, they're like, this is an option?
What?
All right, let's take a quick break. Deroy Murdock next.
Hi, it's Mark Cox. When I endorse a product or service on the radio, I take it seriously. I do my research. I did the same when I first met Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty over 5 years ago. Gloria is here in studio today, and I'll ask the same question I asked you when we first met and before you helped me sell my home. Gloria, tell us, what sets you apart from other agents?
Well, number one is my guaranteed offers. I'm so confident that I'll sell your home at 100% of market value, or I'll pay the difference. Number two is I already have the buyers, so your home may already be sold. I literally have thousands of buyers in my Buyers in Waiting program. This is how I'm able to create higher demand, more offers, and that means more money in your pocket.
Friends, get to know Gloria Lou like I have. Upfront written guarantees with the least hassle. Call Gloria Lou right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com, 314-227-9636. Give that number a phone call and invite Matt Hayes over to your house, to your business, to figure out what you can do about the cracked and uneven, unlevel concrete that's going to turn into a worse liability than it already is. I appreciate that Matt Hayes is somebody who's really experienced when it comes to foundational things. If you go to HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com, you can see all of the things that they do there. But specifically, when it comes to the speed with which they can solve this problem for you and the cost-effective nature that they can solve this problem for you, 314-227-9636 is such a smart phone call to make. You can call Matt Hayes. He's going to come inspect your situation and tell you exactly what you'd be getting yourself into if you hire him before any dollars exchange or commitment is made. 314-227-9636. Tell him Annie said hi. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Insurance companies often have a basic strategy: delay, deny, defend. Some try to grind you down, but they have another tremendous weapon: a software called Colossus. They know which attorneys are great and which are not so great. They know who is likely to take the last offer and who will take them by their scalp, kicking and screaming to trial. They know that they have to pay some firms early and fairly. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. The insurance companies have done their homework. Before you hire a lawyer for your injury case, do yours. Visit forthepeople.com and see our settlements and verdicts for cases like yours. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason. When you hire the wrong firm, you may be beat before you start. All law firms are not the same. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. They have a jury on Lisa Brady, a jury for the trial over a second Trump assassination attempt.
12 jurors and 4 alternates are now selected to hear the federal case against Ryan Wesley Ruth. He's accused of hiding in the shrubs last year at the Trump Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida, waiting with a firearm, hoping to kill then-candidate Donald Trump as he golfed. The case is being tried in federal court in Fort Pierce, Florida. The judge had been pushing the process of jury selection along as Ruth, who is defending himself, had been asking odd questions of the prospective jurors.
Fox's Evan Brown opening statements now expected tomorrow. The man accused of killing a Ukrainian refugee on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, blames a material in his body for the stabbing. The Daily Mail obtaining a jailhouse recording of the suspect and his sister.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they got to investigate the material in my body is supposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they got to investigate.
DeCarlos Brown Jr. is facing state and federal charges after a history of arrests and mental health issues. His mother had previously tried to have him involuntarily committed. 3 senior FBI officials fired last month are now suing, claiming their terminations were unlawful and part of a campaign of political retribution. Russia's defense minister denies targeting Poland after a drone incursion during the latest attack on Ukraine.
The incident triggered a NATO response, with fighter jets scrambling from Western Europe to try to assist. Polish officials say at least 4 of the drones were shot down as the country briefly closed part of its airspace and diverted flights from major airports.
Fox's Trey Ying, Poland's president, invoking Article 4 in discussions with NATO allies, also telling Parliament some drones came from Belarus. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. Their max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Plenty of sunshine this afternoon. Temperatures coming up a little bit, but certainly still bearable. 80s to near 90 degrees. Clear skies tonight, falling through the 80s for evening plans. 66 for the low. Thursday, sunny and 92. Hottest stretch continues to look like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No record heat, but it's a bit of a jolt to the system. Sunny skies, mid-90s. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. If you need a new air conditioner installed this summer, call a company you can trust to install your AC properly. That will get your home cool and comfortable fast. For a free estimate on a new air conditioner, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Rain.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, you know, we're seeing so much of this story. I said this a little bit earlier regarding the Charlotte bus murder of the Ukrainian girl sitting there minding her own business, and she just gets stabbed to death. There's been more video that has been released now. Did you see the rest? Did you see the rest of the video that they've released? She's like sitting in her chair. She just bleeds out. She passes out.
She doesn't know what's going on.
No, she doesn't. She didn't know she was dying.
Mm-mm.
And then she loses her life at the hands of this maniac. I guess the story right now is that people suspect that he's a schizophrenic. That
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. Are there people out there still advocating for us to not have mental institutions where we just incarcerate these people for life? Are there still people? I mean, it's kind of one of those things that I just presume that people will be like, oh, you can't lock those people up. Is that really happening, or am I just...
No, I think that's a way of thinking for a lot of people. I don't think people have just abandoned that in light of this one news story. There are people who really think that doing anything like that, basically punishing crime, is wrong. And the more mentally unstable somebody is, the more wrong it is to punish them. But the alternative is this. It's letting people just get stabbed and shot and killed.
Well, the difference between punishing somebody and keeping them away from harming the public because they can't be trusted to be around public.
mean.
Yeah. Let's listen. This is, we're going to talk to our guest, Deroy Murdock, about this, but listen to what Van Jones has to say about this.
We don't know why that man did what he did. We don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people. What happened was horrible. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him. We don't know why.
So when you listen to Van Jones there talking about hurt people, hurting people, maybe there's a broader point that Van Jones gets to that wasn't included in that clip, but he really hurt somebody, and he had done so multiple times over, and he was released to do it again and again and again, and now someone's lost their life over it. Let's get to our guest. Our friend Deroy Murdock back with us, nationally syndicated columnist, Project 21 ambassador, and Fox News contributor. Deroy, welcome back. It's always good to speak with you.
Hey, great to talk to you again.
I want to get your thoughts on this issue of this Charlotte murder of this Ukrainian refugee. On the surface, obviously, a picture's maybe worth 1,000 words, but you've got a black man and a white woman. Some people are making that the story. Some people are making the Ukrainian refugee part of the story, and some people are making the mental health situation part of the story. What do you see when you take in this story? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, all of those factors are important. I mean, I think the first and foremost and kind of most ironic and tragic aspect of this is if Irina Zarutska had remained in the Ukraine and simply said, look, I'll take my chances against Vladimir Putin's incoming Russian rockets, she might be alive today. I mean, at least in a place like Ukraine, if the Russian rockets are coming in, I assume some alarms go off. You dive in the basement, find a shelter, hide under your bed. You know, you can take some preparation to try to save yourself. And this poor woman is sitting on the light rail in Charlotte, reading her reading her smartphone after finishing up her shift at a pizza place, having no idea that somebody's about to plunge a knife into her neck. I mean, if there were an alarm about incoming knife, she could have maybe crouched in the fetal position or tried to hop off the train or run or something. She didn't have no warning whatsoever. So that's awful. Secondly, you've heard some people like the mayor of Charlotte, who's a Democrat, saying we have to have compassion for DeCarlos Brown, the alleged killer, the one we've all seen the video in the red hoodie, who plunged the knife in her neck. I'm not feeling very compassionate about that. I mean, this guy had 14 different prior arrests. His mother said, look, my son's mentally ill. He's schizophrenic. He's saying a lot of scary things. When he was here, if you hear something, say something. Well, she saw something. She said something, and she was ignored. Now we have a dead body here. And the behavior of the media in all this is absolutely appalling. This is as of September 6th. The Associated Press, PBS, National Public Radio, Wall Street Journal, BBC, CNN, Washington Post, Reuters, and MSNBC had zero stories on this attack. And the only reason that any of those outlets is saying anything about this is because we in the right of center media have brought it up and made it an issue. Prior to that, they were very happy to keep their mouths shut and let all of this go away because it goes against their whole story, which is that America's basic propulsion is white people holding down black people and making black folks suffer, and that any effort to do anything about black criminals is ipso facto racist. So just clam up and hope that this all blows away. Well, it's not blown away. Everyone knows about it. Everyone's talking about it, and it's just a huge outrage. And it's blown up in the face of the Democrats, who are basically become the pro-crime party, always making excuses and feeling sorry for people like DeCarlos Brown, and not saying very much about Irina Zarutska and other victims of violent crime, including, unfortunately, this case, homicide.
You know, Deroy, when this story just first started to break, probably towards the end of last week, I think it was, even though the actual crime, the murder, occurred in August, there's kind of been a back and forth in the media as to who was covering the story and when, and whose interest was to keep the story quiet. And I don't want to be a part of overshadowing the issue that needs to be addressed at hand, which is the crime that was committed, the arrests that were made and not followed through to keep this man off of the streets. That needs to be the primary concern in discussing the story. But a lot of people are making a lot of hay over the fact that the mayor didn't want it to be released and that the mainstream media chose not to cover it for so long. Do you think that that's an issue that needs to be part of the discussion?
Yeah, I do think it's part of the discussion. What the political media and political responses are to this situation? I think first and foremost, yeah, we've got a vicious killer, and we've got a poor woman who's now dead. She's in a casket and soon to be buried, I assume. Yeah, that's the first thing we should think of. And we all should. I think I'd feel a lot better if I heard a lot of these stories express any sympathy for Irina Zarutska. A lot of these stories and headlines don't even mention her. They say, Republicans pounce. Trump is using this as a mega political tool, et cetera, and not much sympathy or empathy for the victim of this woman who's been murdered in this awful situation. So I think that is important. But I think the number one thing we should be talking about, in addition to this specific woman's tragic killing, is how we keep people like DeCarlos Brown off the streets. This isn't his first or second time he's been in trouble. This is 14 prior arrests. He was, in fact, arrested for assaulting his sister, I think, earlier this year. And some Democrat judge said, well, we'll give you a chance to sign a little note promising not to get in trouble. And he signed a little note. Well, guess what? He broke his promise, and now you've got a dead body. So there just seems to be this effort on the part of so many of the left-wing politicians, left-wing prosecutors and judges, just to give criminals one more chance, one more opportunity. Maybe after the 15th arrest or the 16th or the 18th, this person will get it right and behave himself. Here in New York, we've got a case, I think just a couple of weeks ago. Somebody has been arrested for like 250 times, 254 times, people well into hundreds of arrests. At what point people say, all right, you clearly are not learning the lesson. We've offered you hundreds of teaching moments. You've learned nothing. So guess what? We're just going to lock you up and leave you there because you clearly are a menace to society and you're not getting it. So we're just going to leave you there and make yourself comfortable because you're not coming out until you have a white sheet over your face. I mean, it has to get to that point because otherwise we're going to be putting more white sheets over the faces of innocent victims rather than guilty perpetrators.
Deroy Murdock speaking with us, of course, a nationally syndicated columnist, Project 21 ambassador, and Fox News contributor. I want to shift off of that story into a different one right now, specifically this article that you have written in The Spectator that's highlighting October 6th, when the Supreme Court is going to be back in business. There is a case that has a lot of pundits are saying could threaten the legality of gay marriage. Kim Davis, people remember her as, I believe she was a Kentucky woman, a Kentucky county clerk who didn't want to issue a marriage license to a gay couple because she said it went against her religion. And some people are suggesting that if they look into the case that is in front of the Supreme Court, that maybe the legality of gay marriage will be up for discussion and for Supreme Court ruling once again. I wanted to know what you thought about this story that will be a very, very hot topic come October.
Yeah, I think this story's going to start heating up pretty soon. Excuse me, I have a piece in the American Spectator. Headline SCOTUS, Preserve Gay Marriage but Protect Religious Rights. It's in the American Spectator currently. And I make the point that we can protect gay marriage, and if two people of the same sex want to be married and spend their lives together, then wonderful for them if they're consenting adults. But at the same time, if someone like Kim Davis or anybody else who's working in a county clerk's office or what have you has a moral objection, whether it be religious or even secular, if you have a secular opposition to gay marriage and you feel strongly about it, look, you shouldn't be forced to issue and sign and hand out marriage certificates to gay couples if that's something that either grates against your religion or against your fundamental beliefs. There are enough people in county clerk's offices around the country, so if you don't want to do it, they'll say, what, you're a gay couple, great, I'm not going to handle this. Talk to Bob over there, talk to Sally over there, and you'll get your gay marriage license. I'm going to go focus on handling our human resources needs or working on some website functions or whatever it is. And then the people who want to get married can get married, and the people who don't want to be involved don't have to be involved. There's no need. Unfortunately, this case of David Ermold and David Moore, the gay couple who didn't get the license from Kim Davis, they eventually got married. They were able to get a license from someone else, but they're still pushing this case because they just have a sense of revenge against Kim Davis. They don't like her. They want her to suffer. She's already spent 6 days in jail and owes what she's trying to do is get an overturned judgment of $50,000 each. That's $100,000 plus $260,000 in legal fees. That's $360,000 she faces in basically economic impact from this. Plus, she's already been in jail. That shouldn't be the case. They should have said, look, if you don't want to do this, fine. We'll get somebody else to get you your license. You guys go get married. Let Kim Davis stick to her religious views, and then everyone's happy. Everyone can walk away content, or if not content, at least not grinding molars too hard. And I think that's the way out of this situation, and that's something that will allow gay people who want to be married to get married, and people who believe in religious liberty or secular belief liberty, if you want to call it that, to stick to their principles. And I think that's what would lead to the greatest happiness to the greatest number of Americans, and I think that's a big positive.
According to your piece here that I'm reading, and encourage people to read in the American Spectator about this issue, you said Davis is appealing the jury verdict, which includes that $360,000 fine in total legal fees and fine that she's going to have to pay. But you're saying she, and bonus, also wants the Supreme Court to reverse its, quote, egregiously wrong, end quote, decision and overturn Obergefell v. Hodges, the case that made gay marriage a constitutional right. So she's asking for the Supreme Court to overturn the legality of gay marriage in pursuit of also getting these fees taken off her bill?
Correct. She's going much further than just saying, look, I don't want to pay this money, reverse these expenses against me. She's saying, I want you to go even further. Her legal argument is that the case was egregiously wrong. It was wrongly decided, and therefore, in addition to, get me out of this bad legal and financial situation, also go ahead and overturn gay marriage. Now, I don't know if the Supreme Court is going to do that I thought take this opportunity to do so. I think there's some justices, even some conservative justices, who just don't want to get into this, or they want to let the lower courts handle it before it comes back up for a Supreme Court ultimate decision. But yeah, she does want to go further than just regaining her own personal sense of justice. She wants to see gay marriage thrown out altogether, which could turn this from just her own personal grievance or pursuit of justice, if you will, into something that's going to become obviously a gigantic national controversy. And if the Supreme Court does go ahead and overturn gay marriage, you can imagine what the situation will be like in the streets the day after that happens, or the day that happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're speaking with Deroy Murdock. More in this article here, and you've said it yourself so far that, if you're Kim Davis and you don't want to be in a position to grant a marriage license to a gay couple, that your First Amendment rights should allow you to have that opinion and not be forced to do that. You go on to write about the people who have had to make cakes and do photography and all of these other areas where we've seen the specific issue of marriage put itself into commerce, and it causes a lot of problems. Would this Supreme Court case potentially kind of solve that problem for the future, depending on how they rule?
Good question. I would imagine it would have some impact on it. I mean, I don't know if it directly will impact things like being forced to bake wedding cakes for gay weddings, or being forced to take pictures at gay weddings, being forced to do invitations, etc. There's been an effort on the part of some gay activists. I think it's really very vindictive to say, look, you must make me a cake. You must take pictures at my wedding. You must do my invitations, what have you. It's one thing if you're in a county and way out in the sticks in North Dakota and there's one baker. But look, the people who pushed the gay wedding cake issue were in Denver. And I actually looked it up. There are dozens of other bakeries where these people have gone, including probably some bakeries owned by gay owners. They're just thrilled and delighted to make these wedding cakes. If I want to get a wedding cake, I want to have it baked by somebody who likes me, not somebody who feels like he's got a gun to his head. It's probably not going to be a very delicious cake, right? And if you hire somebody who doesn't want to be there taking your wedding photos, I imagine the photos are probably going to be pretty blurry. And at the time the wedding cake is being cut into, and you want pictures of that, the photographer's out having a smoke or something like that. So there's been this effort on the part of some gay activists just to impose and inflict their views and get other people involved in this who don't want to be involved. And instead they should just say, look, you don't want to be at my wedding? Fine. I'll find somebody else to take pictures. I'll find somebody else to bake the cake, make the invitations, maybe other gay people. And I've used this example. Look, if you're a vegan and you really don't believe in harming animals, and somebody comes in and says, I want you to bake a cake for the Suffolk County Huntsman Association's Rifleman of the Year award. We're going to have a cake in honor of the guy who shot the biggest deer possible. Why should you be forced to do that? Or if you're Jewish, you'd be forced to make a cake for some neo-Nazi group that's having their Adolf Hitler birthday party event, and they want to have a cake with a swastika on it, and you're Jewish, and that doesn't exactly excite you. So this whole effort on the part of people to force other people to do things that they don't want to do. People just need to get out of their faces, find some neutral or sympathetic merchant to provide you with your cake, your photographs, your invitations, whatever it is you want. And somebody's happy to take your money rather than forcing somebody to take your money who doesn't want to do so. I think as a general principle, we all should go through life in that fashion. If it's the government denying you something which you should have under the basis of equal justice under law, that's one thing. But as a private party, private parties should try to work with other private parties who are either happy to do business with you or at least don't mind doing so, rather than they're having deeply held beliefs, religious or otherwise, that lead them not to want to engage in whatever it is the activity is that you're involved in.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems kind of like common sense, but I guess as I continue with every topic I feel like I'm talking about, it's just less and less common these days. We're trying to get some of that back.
Common sense is highly uncommon these days, indeed.
Deroy, thank you. We appreciate you. We'll have you back next week.
Okay, Annie. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Deroy Murdock, nationally syndicated columnist, his latest piece about gay marriage and this court case going to be considered in October when the Supreme Court gets back to going. Kim Davis seeking to have the jury verdict appealed, $50,000 for each of the two Davids who were wanting to marry each other in Kentucky and get that license. $50,000 apiece, $260,000 in legal fees. trying to get $360,000 of obligation off of her ledger, and also, just on a side note, wanting to overturn Obergefell v. Hodges. We'll see how that goes. I don't think they touch it with a 10-foot pole, but if they do, man, buckle up. That's gonna be wild. All right, let's take a quick break. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. If the whole truth were exposed, whose exposure would you enjoy the most? Fauci, Biden, Schiff, or Obama? Love to have some honorable mentions as well of names that I didn't list there. Brad sent some. We'll figure out what his were when we come back. Don't go away.
When you love somebody and the love grows cold, the sun starts shining when you let it all go. There's a certain kind of hurting only time can heal. That's a pretty good picture of the way I feel. I'm a little bit hurt, but a lot more free.
The Retirement Advisory Group are going to be doing, I cannot believe that it's going to be October. As I was reading these notes, I was like, we just did one of these, and the next one's not until October. Holy crap, it's September 10th, which means it's very close. It's within a month. Thursday, October 2nd at 6:30 p.m., we're going to do, I think it's the last of the year, Protecting Your Retirement Educational Event. These are wonderful ways to sit down for free. I'd love to meet you because I'll be there from about 6 to 6:30 when we start the event, and then we hand it over to Bob and Tammy Kershaw and Thomas Helbig. If you go to retirementkey.com, you can learn all about it. You can sign up. You can also call them at 314-993-9494 and reserve your spot. It's Thursday, October 2nd. The event begins at 6:30 p.m., and I'll be there, excited to meet you, along with Mark Reardon, Mark Cox, and we spend 30 minutes before the event starts just kind of hanging out and getting to know you, and then we turn it over to the experts to make sure that you have what you need to have your worry-free retirement. If you've got questions, if you just want to hear what they have to say, it doesn't cost you anything. You do need to reserve your spot. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renter's Insurance at progressive.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Does it do this?
What's
for
the
a long
opposite of the
time?
original? The Adam Sandler version?
No, I think Method Man and Redman did it. They did kind of their own version.
I don't know that I've ever heard the whole version. Then does it have lyrics that just go the whole
way.
time?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not a lot of people have 15 minutes to listen to a song.
I guess
It's
not.
like, it's like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I told my friend yesterday I've known her my whole life. She's very leftist. She does not listen to the show, but I did send her the YouTube video of us talking about Brian Fellow. She was really happy.
That was funny. That was a funny video.
Let me read to you what she wrote back to me. Brian Fellow, like, that was something that was really important to me during a certain point in my time. And you said that, and I like, if you watch the video, you can see how happy I immediately got.
Yeah, you did. If you're catching up, too, if you don't know what we're talking about, yesterday, Ethan at 2:30 or so was talking about a story that involved a fellowship or something.
Tashara Jones got a fellowship at Washington
Tashara
University.
Jones got a fellowship.
Which is funny. I don't even know what her fellowship was in or for. We just went straight into Brian Fellow.
Because he said, she became a fellow. And I was like, a Brian Fellow? And then
We careened.
Yeah, we went off.
I sent her the link and told her, I said, I know you don't listen, but I sort of gave you a shout out today on the show, thought of you. And she said that made me laugh so hard. And then she said, if it's a snapping turtle, I'm going to kill it. I want to go watch all that SNL of our youth and see how much is could be considered insensitive these days.
I don't think there's that much.
No?
I really don't. Brian Fellow, that sketch was basically the same every time, and it was always good. The opening to that, I never forget how they introduce him as he is not a zoologist, but simply an enthusiastic young man.
With it, didn't it say with a education of a sixth
with
grader?
a sixth grade education. And he just comes on and just starts talking about animals as if he had just never heard of one.
Yeah, completely. Let's see here. I want to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to speak with Congressman Mike Bost. I'm going to ask him, a lot of news has been centered around Chicago, Illinois. Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. We know this. J.B. Pritzker, the guy who runs the whole state, doesn't seem to acknowledge it, and the mayor, Brandon Johnson, even worse. Does all this attention on the state of Illinois bode well for the future of Illinois when it comes to a big election that we'll be holding in a statewide in 2026? Let's ask somebody who's won a few elections in the state of Illinois. Congressman Mike Bost next.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at Triton Exteriors. Not sure if you've noticed, but the storms seem to be especially bad this spring. If you had James Hardy Smart Siding, you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not going to be damaged like in the 314-day storm. So we do roofing, siding, gutters, fences. We're always going to be the middle bid. We're never going to cut corners. We're never going to take advantage of you. Call 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. And your home is your sanctuary. You need to take the first step to peace of mind with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer in the country, Generator Supercenter. We learned the hard way here in St. Louis during the tornado recently that power can be knocked out. But even outside of that, what if the power grid fails and it's 100 degrees here in St. Louis? You don't want to be that person. Get with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis today. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Tell them that we sent you along.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Hey, a reminder, your chance to win Beach Boys tickets in about an hour, a little after 2:30, every day this week, including today. So Make sure you stay tuned, and you will have a chance at those Beach Boys tickets on September 21st. It is 1:31. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
From Alton to Wildwood, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
WGN Investigates has learned the Illinois Department of Corrections has the ability to say how often inmates who are released commit new crimes. I came across the issue while looking at programs meant to prepare prisoners for life outside of prison walls. It means the Department of Corrections can no longer say with certainty if it is correcting behavior. In 2022, the Illinois Department of Corrections said 37% of its inmates reoffended within 3 years of their release. But WGN Investigates found the department hasn't updated that number since then due to a computer glitch. Essentially, the state doesn't have a current snapshot of how its reentry programs are working.
That's amazing. In a time of no cash bail and the Safety Act and everything that this state continues to do, we haven't been tracking the recidivism rate since 2022. What are we doing in the state of Illinois? I don't know. I don't know if Congressman Mike Bost has the answers, but we're going to try to get him out of him. U.S. Congressman for Illinois' 12th District, also chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Welcome back to the show, Congressman.
Well, thank you. And I believe their numbers are low. I think the recidivism rate is up over 50%. It has been for years in the Illinois Department of Corrections. And that's a big problem there. So.
Yeah, how do we police crime and understand that, leaving people, not holding people in jail and doing things a little bit counter to the norm? How do we come up with the ideas of doing this if we're not working with real numbers to begin with?
If you're not working with real numbers. The idea, first off, that by letting people back out on the street and not actually enforcing crime, that your crime rate's going to go down makes no sense whatsoever. For far too long, the Democrat politicians have had control over Chicago. And, more people die in Chicago every week than what used to happen whenever we were in the Iraqi war for 20 years every week. Think about that. And you know what? I have to agree with the president that the status quo with these big cities is not good enough. Why is it that every time Trump says something like we need to fix crime, that all of a sudden they want to even fight that when it's the only people who don't want to stop crime are the criminals. And that's as simple as I can say it. Look, he came into D.C. at first. They argued, they didn't want to do it. And there's still other liberals that are arguing. And just so you know, here in D.C., the more liberals go out in the evening and pound pots and pans and make a lot of noise saying they're under siege and everything like this. However, carjackings are down 82%. Homicides is down 58%. Robberies are down 57%. Once again, he's winning. And so now when he talks about saying the National Guard to go to Illinois, well, I really think so. He knows constitutionally the National Guard, if the National Guard needs to go, Pritzker can call the National Guard. That's the idea. They're by the state, can do that themselves. But to bring U.S. military forces in, the governor has to give that request. But by Trump making the statement he's made, he just shown Pritzker to be exactly who he is, which is a person who was worried more about his political career and wanting to try to be president and fighting this guy than he is about the people that are dying on his streets every day.
We're speaking with Congressman Mike Bost. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I'm thinking about all the attention that's being drawn to the state of Illinois. A lot of people run to their corners. Obviously, Donald Trump is a polarizing figure. People support him or they don't.
Oh, yeah.
But in the city of Chicago, and then, of course, the way of the city of Chicago is the way of the state of Illinois. We know that downstate pretty well. is Donald Trump changing minds, exposing something in J.B. Pritzker that's going to actually materialize and maybe, I don't know, like say 22% of Cook County voting red in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, there was a pretty big number of what you don't normally have that voted for Trump in the collar counties and Cook County during the last election cycle. Remember, the Democrats only won it by 54%. So it was a lot closer during this cycle than the previous cycle where Trump won and the previous cycle where Trump lost, because it isn't a case where a Republican and Democrat argument. This is a case where, look, crime isn't red and blue. Crime is. I just have to believe that everybody wants to see the crime rates go down. And people in Chicago, and the only people are the people that are screaming are people that already have Trump derangement syndrome. And you can see how bad it is when all of a sudden you're saying, well, we don't want you even worrying about this or fixing crime because even though you've proved you can do it because you're Trump. That's ridiculous. It is an issue out there, and like any other issue, he's going to go out and take hold of it. Now, like I said, there's a constitutional issue, and all he's done is exposed Governor Pritzker for exactly what it is. That he's worried more about the politics than he is worried about the people that he's elected to serve.
So, Congressman Bost, when you're looking, of course, you'll be running again in November of next year to retain your seat in the 12th district. I wonder how you've got a pretty red district. That's how in the gerrymandering of the state of Illinois, they just gave you a lot of Republicans in your district. In the 13th, where I live, it's a bluish purple district. It's not unwinnable for a Republican.
It's a D4. Yeah, it's a D4. So it's not a radical Democrat district because of the way it's drawn, but it has radical Democrat sections of it.
Right,
and that's the way they got it done.
So, how does what we're seeing right now, a lot of this exposure of J.B. Pritzker specifically, and of course, people are questioning a lot of the laws that have come out of Illinois. It's like now that the spotlight is shining on flyover country, a lot of people in the media can't believe some of the laws that we've passed here that have caused crime to snowball the way it has. Does any of this materialize in people being single issue voters in 2026 when it comes to crime and safety and law and order?
I hope so. I think more so in those districts like you live in and those districts that are slightly Democrat and are down and reach further into downstate. Remember, they drew this map specifically so there would only be 3 Republicans in the state of the 17. And like I said, the election, it was 54% Democrat. So normally you'd say, okay, well, then of the 17, maybe there should be 7 Republican districts and, 10 Democrat. But no. So they've already, and when Pritzker said that he could gerrymander the state, I guess he could. But at what point do you say, okay, that's ridiculous because we've never done that to that extreme? But this is the most extreme they've done it. The question is, will it change it? I think it was funny a while ago. You said you were going to talk to a person who's been elected in Illinois. I've been elected in Southern Illinois. So I trust me, my views probably would not be those that would win over the many of our suburban people because, I'm pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, anti-big tax, don't like big government, want local control. Those issues are kind of hard to sell around the collar counties. But you have to believe these issues like we're talking about right now. You're talking about crime. You're talking about securing the border. You're talking about when you go after the people who are here illegally who have committed heinous crimes and you're removing them from the nation. That has to, except for those people, like I said earlier, that have Trump derangement syndrome, they have to look at the people that will be fighting this and go, well, wait a minute. No. And there are so many Democrats and people who were known to be Democrats groups that are starting to come over. So I could think that it would have an effect, but we'll see.
Congressman Mike Bost speaking with us right now live, the U.S. Congressman for Illinois' 12th District. I'm going to share with you a bit of breaking news right now, Congressman Bost. So I'll just give you the report that I have. I don't have any more details than this. But Charlie Kirk was at a Utah Valley University event, and it has appeared as though shots have been fired at him. There are reports that he has been shot. And we're talking about a man, Charlie Kirk, who had a lot to do with Donald Trump and his resurgence, bringing in a whole generation of people into this movement. I don't know his condition. Lots of people, including Ben Shapiro, and of course the Daily Mail report the quote from their headline, "Shots fired at Charlie Kirk event at Utah Valley University." I mean, this violence is very politically motivated. Right. There's a lot of anger. Emotions are as high as they can get. Obviously, without knowing any more details about the specific event here at Utah Valley University, what are your thoughts at this moment when you hear something like that?
Here's the problem. Once again, what is happening is it's the same thing that has caused two attempts on the president's life. If you have an opinion other than someone else, and then that person has the other opinion, and you speak about it in ways that maybe you wouldn't take action, there are other people out there that will take action to get attention for different reasons. All you have to do is see the trial that's going on right now and how the person who made the attempt on the president's life and the statements he's making, he's an attention seeker. And now with social media being the way that it is, and what the sad thing about this, and it is so true, what we'll do is, if this is a case where somebody's been hurt and it's out here or another shooting like this, then what we're going to do is you're going to have people come to this floor where I work every day and say, you're going to need to turn down the rhetoric. And then the very next time that there's a debate on the floor, the rhetoric comes right back out. Yesterday, I was in the floor. I was running the floor. 3 times I had to tell not just one member, but the member who was leading the Democrat debate, that it is inappropriate to use the personalities of the president in the debate. When you start calling the president bad names, saying that that he's out to destroy the country, he's out to do this, he's out to do this, it stirs up people that hear that. Even to the point that twice yesterday, with children in the gallery, I also had to call them down on using profanity, which is strictly is strictly forbidden in debate. And we had to deal with this problem yesterday from the same people who will stand out there today, if this is a case of what's going on, and make some statement about we've got to turn down the rhetoric. That's a problem.
The First Amendment gives us the right to speak our minds and to have our own opinions and to disagree with one another. And I can't think of anybody who has been more welcoming of differing opinions than Charlie Kirk. To go,
no, he's every day.
Yeah, and to treat it with respect and dignity, to listen to people, to be willing to listen. We're going to follow this story.
And just so you know, if you lose a debate, don't take it personal.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and if you go head to head with him, you may probably lose the debate.
Amen. So, Congressman Bost, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, and I will
pray for Charlie Kirk.
I'm doing that right now. Got it. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Not really. I'm reading what is taking place on X, and I know that what is tweeted ere is not always accurate. In fact, very often it's not. But there were shots fired at a Charlie Kirk event at Utah Valley University. Pray for Charlie Kirk. Let's go to break.
Mark Reardon isn't here to echo talking points. He challenges them. Smart, fast, and always original. The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Life's unpredictable and full of unknowns, but your vehicle shouldn't be. No one wants to face an unexpected repair that could derail their plans and budget. That's why we're introducing CarShield, the ultimate way to future-proof your ride. We're not just about fixing problems, we're about preventing financial surprises. You can get a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan designed to save you from out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Imagine driving with complete peace of mind, knowing that if something goes wrong, you'll pay almost nothing for covered repairs. Included in every plan is free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. This protection plan is at an all-time low, making it accessible to any driver. Don't wait for a breakdown to realize you need coverage. Invest in the future of your vehicle and your wallet today. Call CarShield now for your free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. Future-proof your ride. Call CarShield now. 800-908-8646. 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
Rooted in faith, grounded in family. This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Just got done speaking with Congressman Mike Bost. And in the conversation with Mike Bost, news reports started to come out that Charlie Kirk, whom if you're connected to anything in the political world, you know that Charlie Kirk is integral in the 2024 campaign to reelect Donald Trump and has been so connected to a generation of people who have had their eyes wide open in the midst of so many different types of crises that we've lived through in the last 15, 20 years. He was at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. He has been shot. We do not have a confirmation on his condition, but it does appear as though it is very serious. It is real. It is a real report. I think that this is a pivotal moment in our country as a political there's a political fight that's been happening here. You know, Donald Trump stepped onto the scene in 2015, 2016, and he's been a bulldozer of the way things have always been. And it has been contentious in this country ever since. And I know some people who would think, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be as contentious. People question Donald Trump stepping into the fights that he steps into and advocating for the things he advocates for. But the truth of the matter is the fight was going on before that. Donald Trump just gave a voice to a side that hadn't been heard. Charlie Kirk is somebody who has picked up exactly what so many people were feeling, is a voice for the people who felt as though they didn't have a voice out there. And he took a group, Turning Point, and started bringing it to campuses all across the country. And his entire plan is to sit down and talk to people one-on-one, to have conversations where he listens. If you've ever seen any of those conversations, he takes his microphone and he sets it down on the table. He does that out of respect to the person who is articulating a debate, a point that is going to be counter to what he believes. Most people, a lot of times they'll come up and they'll talk to him and they'll, say they have an agreement or a disagreement ahead of time. So Charlie understands where the conversation is headed. And he listens to them. He does not create a hostile environment. He just creates an environment where people can speak. And where his voice, which is our voice, can be heard by many people, articulated in a non-combative way, just in a fact-based way, that a lot of time is also based on opinion. I can think of many times I've talked recently about watching Charlie Kirk talk to these people at these universities and listen to these arguments that other people make. And at a lot of times the conversation comes down to Charlie Kirk saying, well, I believe, and he says what he believes, and his beliefs move into a political position that are rooted in something. And the truth of the matter is the person he's arguing with, or debating, I should say, they have beliefs that lead them to believe in a different policy position. If we don't live in a country where you can have a discussion and disagree, we don't have a country. We don't have a civilization. Fox News is reporting on this right now. Let's listen in as Charlie Kirk has been shot in the neck at a campus in Utah.
Charlie Kirk has been shot. We have very few details so far coming in on this. We're dependent on witnesses. Utah Valley University, and he was speaking in front of a crowd. And in that moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was speaking about obviously trans issues in the country today. When a shot or shots rang out, and we can now confirm via Jason Chaffetz, who was at the event at Utah Valley University, that shots rang out as Charlie was talking about transgender mass shootings. Per Jason Chaffetz, a witness there, says he can't say that he saw blood, but he saw him he can't say also that he saw him get shot, but he did hear the gunshot ring out, and he was watching Charlie, and then he fell back and to the left. We're giving you exactly the details we have from a firsthand account. Jason Chaffetz, what's that? Okay, Utah Valley University. Obviously, we are praying for Charlie Kirk as we do get word of this. Nicole Parker was with us earlier. We're bringing her back on this. Bear with us as we're just getting these brand new details. We pray that he is okay. All that we know right now is that shots rang out. He was apparently shot as he fell back after Jason Chaffetz described the sound of the gunfire. We're waiting on more details. Nicole, please do jump in.
I'm absolutely stunned. I'm shocked right now. This is not what I was anticipating I would be reporting on. I'm here at the courthouse for the assassination attempt against Donald Trump, and now we're hearing that Charlie Kirk has been shot. I do know a lot of people in Utah. I have many relatives there. Utah Valley University is in Orem, Utah. It's actually close to Brigham Young University, which is a very large university. Utah Valley is a much smaller university. I understand that Charlie Kirk was there speaking for a Turning Point event. Jason Chaffetz, who is from Utah, obviously was a congressman there. I know him very well as well. He's from the area, and he was a witness to it, from my understanding. This is absolutely heart-wrenching. This is unacceptable. This is Charlie Kirk. He is a key person in the conservative movement. This type of violence against those making political statements can no longer be tolerated. This is not okay. My heart is broken right now. Let's pray for Charlie Kirk immediately, make sure that he is okay. Utah is a very conservative area. It's known to be a conservative state. It's a very red state. We'll see what the details are of this, but I'm absolutely stunned, and we immediately need to go into prayer mode. This is not okay. Speaking about transgender is what I believe he was speaking on at the time that this occurred. This is obviously a hot topic, which is controversial to others. It is never okay to deal with your personal grievance or your, lack of agreeing with someone with violence.
Nicole, I just want to jump in here as we're getting word that
they must find this individual if they are not already in custody and make sure that, the community is safe there. But most of all, that Charlie Kirk is okay.
Okay, just want to jump in with any new details as we get it. Per other reports, he was 20 minutes into the presentation when shots were fired. And according to NBC News, to the best of their knowledge, he was hit. And he was taken with a security team away from the premises. The vice president is now weighing in. Vance saying on Charlie Kirk, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk, a genuinely good guy and a young father. And Bill, I know you and I know Charlie. We have over the years, born and raised in the Chicago suburbs. Just absolutely tragic to hear this. We are all praying, Bill.
Yeah, and today was actually the start of his American comeback tour. He was kicking that off today at Utah Valley University, and he's become famous online for when he does these. These are when he sets those tables up and has his Prove Me Wrong table. We've seen Charlie Kirk be so willing to debate anybody, anywhere, anytime in a common professional manner and talk about any topics that sometimes are a little uncomfortable for people. So he was kicking that off at Utah Valley University today. We've got Jason Chaffetz on the phone. Jason, we were reading some of your social media posts. You were there. You witnessed this. What happened?
Well, it's a good crowd. A lot of people were chanting his name. I was there. My daughter was there. Son-in-law was there. My wife was there. I mean, Charlie Kirk coming to town. We were excited, and people were there, and there were lots of them. And he came out. He was throwing hats, riling up the crowd. He took his first question, which was, I have to catch my breath trying to run into the house here.
Take your time.
He took a first question, which was a religious question. And then he got to the second question, which was about 30 minutes into his presentation, 2:30 local time. And the question was about transgender shooters, mass killings, versus people that weren't transgender. And when that happened, when that question came out, and he's going to have the interaction, one shot. I was watching Charlie. I can't say that I saw blood. I can't say that I saw him get hit, but I did see him fall immediately backwards into his left. And I can just hope and pray that somehow he survived that.
My God, we're all praying. He's married to his wife, Erica, for 4 years now. Jason, obviously, you're visibly very emotional, obviously, having just witnessed this. Married to Erica for 4 years, 2 children, a son and a daughter. All we can do is pray right now until we get an update on what exactly happened here and his condition, although there are reports that he was ushered off by his security team and if shot, obviously hoping he's getting immediate medical help. There are obviously, Jason, starting to be some pictures emerging online of the moment when this happened. There are even some photos of a man who was hauled off after this happened. So we're waiting on details and facts as this story develops. But we know Charlie. We've we've seen and heard from many times over the years. He's been a very present conservative through the Trump movement, leading students. And to your point, Jason, you said he came to town. We came to listen. He has an enormous following and so many supporters that obviously would be praying for him right now, Jason.
Well, I traded text messages with him. I traded text messages with him ahead of time, and I said, "Hey, Charlie, I hope they get a chance to see you. Our family would like to see you again, and we still want to see him again." So he said he was going to go for a few hours, and maybe we could see him afterwards. But gosh, it's just he's there doing the right thing. And it's so great to see all these 20-year-olds enthusiastic about politics in the world, and to have an open dialogue. And
Jason, Jason, I apologize. I don't want to cut you off, but we're getting some reaction in from California Governor Gavin Newsom. Remember, he had Charlie Kirk on his podcast earlier this year. He says, quote, "The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form." And Sandra, Jason, just talking to you, I feel sick to my stomach right now. The first encounter I had with Charlie was back when I was covering the border, and he would just DM me on Twitter saying, "Hey, thank you for those reports. You're doing a great job down there. Keep in mind, he's got a wife and kids, young guy." I'm in shock at this news, Jason. After you heard that shot go off, what happened?
Hey, Bill, just let me jump in here. The FBI director has also just put up a statement on the Kirk shooting saying, quote, "Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response on that campus. We're closely monitoring reports of a tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and investigation." Also, the Secretary of the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, on Charlie Kirk, saying prayers for Kirk, an incredible Christian, American, and human being. May the healing hand of Jesus Christ be upon him. Still waiting on any details, Bill, to come in on his condition. Jason Chaffetz was with us, who was on site when this happened. And Jason, you said you couldn't identify blood, but you heard the shot and you saw him fall backwards when this happened. Please do explain further what you just saw happen.
Well, look, I'm guessing there were 2,000 people there or so, and ready to have a dialogue and listen to Charlie and take one, come all. They answer questions. I in the 45 minutes or so that since it's happened, it's not even that long, 30 minutes since it's happened. The question was, what about transgender shooters, mass shootings? And but as soon as the shot rang out, everybody hit the deck, and then everybody started scattering and yelling and screaming, as you might imagine. And, I went from watching Charlie Kirk to looking over to, make sure our daughter and our son-in-law were okay. And everybody just was in disbelief and just scattered. At Utah Valley University, there's 40,000 students. Yeah. There's state's largest university. So there's what's called the quad in the middle, and anybody can come in and out. And
Jason, if you could stand by with us as our coverage is going to continue. We're going to hand off to Martha McCallum here on this breaking news. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sandra Smith.
And I'm Bill Malugin in from John Roberts. The story with Martha starts right now with that breaking news.
Breaking news indeed. We are all in absolute shock. I don't know what else to say. We're looking at these images of Charlie Kirk, who was shot at one of his early events, back to school campus events, where he engages in a Q&A. He was in a tent on the campus of Utah Valley University. Charlie is 31 years old. He's the CEO of Turning Point, which has really almost single-handedly generated an intense interest in conservative politics among young people and college students in particular. all across this country. He holds massive events. He has gotten young people thinking about politics in a different way, perhaps a way that they were not exposed to at their universities prior to some of his activism and interest in all of these issues. Charlie is a very good person and a family man. He is married for several years to his wife, Erica, and he has 2 young children, a boy and a girl. Obviously, you know, the pride and joy of his life. So we're waiting for more information. As I said, his condition is unknown at this hour. There were a lot of witnesses to this shooting, and we've been listening to Jason Chaffetz, who's going to join us once again in just a moment, who was there, obviously very shaken up with his wife and his children, wanted them to witness this, you know, interesting campus event with this prominent speaker, Charlie Kirk, who, you know, really came on the scene as such a young man and really enjoys engaging in these challenging back and forths, debates all over the country with young people. And as I said, he has been really successful in getting people talking. He obviously is very close to the Trump family. He has spent a lot of time on the campaign trail, spoke at the Republican National Convention, just a very prominent figure. And these reports are very heartbreaking. You see this from Vice President Vance saying, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, very close to so many of the individuals in the administration and in the larger world of politics who care very much about this young man who has been really a shining light for conservatism across the country. FBI Director Kash Patel posting on X, we are closely monitoring reports of the tragic shooting at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly, says Kash Patel, the FBI Director, as we stand in full support of the ongoing response and investigation. Now, the university, Utah Valley University, which is in Orem, Utah, says, quote, a single shot was fired on campus toward a visiting speaker. That, of course, is Charlie Kirk. Police are investigating now, and a suspect is in custody, according to Utah Valley University. Joining us now as we continue this breaking news coverage of this tragic shooting, and we wait for more information about his condition unknown at this point. Let's go to Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt as we begin to news gather on this incredibly, very, very difficult story this afternoon. Jonathan.
Martha, a stunning scene unfolding at Utah Valley University in Orem, which is just about 30 minutes or so south of Salt Lake City. It's a conservative area of in a conservative state, Utah. And what I want to talk you through is some videos that we have seen. We do not at this point have access to them, but they are from the event this morning at which Charlie Kirk was speaking. In one of the videos, the less dramatic one, it is after the shot is fired. You see people running for their lives, clearly absolutely terrified. But the more significant video that is there is one in which you see Charlie Kirk speaking underneath the tent on the campus, outdoor event. You hear one shot fired. Now, when I first played that video and heard the shot, it struck me that it was a high-powered rifle. I consulted with one of our security experts here. His feeling is the same, that it is also a single shot from a high-powered rifle. Shot, it would appear, from some distance. And it appears, and I again say appears in that video, that Charlie Kirk is hit directly by that shot. We know he was hit. We know his condition is unknown at the moment. That is all his representatives are saying. a stunning and terrifying moment, and all we can do right now, Martha, is await word on Charlie Kirk's condition. You're looking there at the tent. I believe that is video from today. That is the precise position in which he was sitting when we saw the video of the shot being fired. He has drawn great crowds over the years wherever he has been, Charlie Kirk, a very popular and very influential figure in conservative circles. He played a major role in the Trump campaign in the last election, credited with literally turning out millions of votes on behalf of President Trump. And we've just got an ex-post from the president himself, Martha, which I'll read to you now. President Trump says, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him." And that seems to be an appropriate moment for me to hand it back to you, Martha.
Jonathan, thank you. And we all agree with President Trump saying we must all pray in this moment. Pray for Charlie Kirk, pray for his family, as we wait to hear more information about what happened today in this brutal scene that played out at Utah Valley University. I want to bring in Jason Chaffetz, former Utah Republican congressman, Fox News contributor. Jason, you were there. I could hear how upset you are in your voice, and I think we all are feeling it. And I just, but you were there. So tell us what happened.
Yeah, that happened like 35 minutes ago. I was there. I was up kind of on the second level because I wanted to be in the shade, but our daughter was there, our son-in-law was there, my wife was there, friends. This is our community. And, there's 2,000 or so people. The Utah Valley University is our largest university, 40,000 students, and people came out to hear the dialogue, the back and forth. Ask him anything. That's what Turning Point and Charlie Kirk's all about. Ask him anything. First question was about religion. He went on for about 15, 20 minutes. Second question, interestingly, was about transgender shooters, mass shooters. And in the midst of that, the shot rang out. Now, I happen to be watching Charlie. I can't say I saw blood. I can't say I saw him get shot, but as soon as that shot went out, he fell back into his left, and everybody hit the deck. A lot of people started screaming, and then everybody started running, as you might expect. Mm-hmm. There was some police presence, but there was no security check going in, which didn't happen. Charlie has some security in front of him, but you got the sense that the shot came kind of straight at him. And I don't think there would be many vantage points too far away because he was under an awning. It's a bright, sunny, beautiful summer, end of summer day in Utah. And I just hope and pray that somehow, some way he survives this.
Jason, we're just looking at the video of Charlie tossing hats. It's a gorgeous day, as you just said. Huge smile on his face, which is his usual composure. And he's getting up onto that stage. This is the kind of thing, and everyone can see it in the upper hand right-hand side of the screen right now, that he does. He brings a lot of energy, a lot of vitality, a lot of very astute conversation and analysis of the state of the country. And he climbed up on that stage like he always does and started taking questions. I just want to give the full statement. It's a short statement, and I know we're going to hear more from President Trump as we get more information, but this is the full statement. He said, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him." And President Trump knows what it's like to be shot at. He was the subject of 2 assassination attempts that were thankfully averted. One obviously hit his ear. And in this case, we're seeing something that looks much more serious, I think is fair to say at this point, as we wait for more information about how Charlie is doing. So give us a sense of this space, Jason. We're there security checkpoints on the way in here? You know, what was it like in terms of who could get in?
So in that shot, I was standing to Charlie's, or off to the right. I wasn't right next to him. Like I said, I was up on the balcony. I had traded messages with Charlie prior to the event. When he announced he was coming, I was excited, told him we want to come see him. Then I sent him text saying, hey, hope I can see you afterwards. Our family loves Charlie. Wanted to get, see him again. Look, this is, classes are now back in session. Kids can come and go. I would say that it's, if I had to guess, 95% local students. Like I said, it's our state's largest university. There were some members that weren't students that were there, but very few. No security checkpoints. It's a very open campus. It's very much a commuter campus. Come on, Orem, Utah is one of the safest places on the planet. And so we just don't have these types of things. We don't have murders, let alone shootings, let alone something of this magnitude. And like I said, there was a light police presence. I'm sure, I hope, there were some undercover people. Charlie has his own a bit of security, but not to deal with, a couple thousand people that were there to see Charlie. They had microphone challenges because there were so many people, they couldn't get all the volume that they wanted. People are having a hard time hearing. But I think when this story is written, I don't think it was a coincidence that the shot rang out when you get a question about transgender mass shootings. That maybe, hopefully I'm wrong. I'll probably get criticized for jumping to conclusions, but I'm just telling you, in the 30 minutes or so, I thought, wow, I don't think that's a coincidence, but we'll see.
So, Jason, obviously there's a lot of images out there, a lot of video out there right now, but the university says that they have a suspect in custody. Did you have any sense of anyone in the crowd who was being taken down by people around this person? Anything of that?
Well, look, as soon as I saw Charlie go back, you realized that it was a shot. I've been shooting. I've been around guns enough to know that it was an actual shot. And immediately, I started thinking of our daughter and our son-in-law and my wife, who wasn't quite in the venue yet. So my attention, focused there and making sure they were okay and getting people out. It wasn't as if there was a whole bunch of gunfire. It was one shot.
Which makes it,
and then it stopped.
Yeah, obviously sound,
yes.
I'm sorry, you go ahead, but I mean, that's an assassination attempt. And it sounds from what you're saying that it was clearly aimed at Charlie Kirk and not, sort of a spraying in the crowd, thank God, of gunfire. It appears that this was a very targeted attempt on his life. And they did take someone into custody, though. So we're waiting for more information on that. Sometimes it can appear that, sometimes it's the right person, sometimes it isn't the right person. And we don't know the answer to that yet. Right, Jason?
No, we don't. But I can tell you, being there, seeing it within proximity, it seemed like it was a close shot. The venue is such that there's a 4-story building, which is the administrative building to the south. The other buildings around the side are not quite so high, but you could be on the second level and watch Charlie. The police had moved the people. There were some people that were above Charlie, so that awning that you're seeing there, there's a place to be there, but the police moved people out to the sides. And so you couldn't be right above where you were at. But if I had to guess, and again, it's still raw, but if I had to guess and give a police statement right here, right now, today, see where that water is? It looked to me like it was in close proximity, straight ahead, right in that area.
Yeah, we're looking
if I had to guess, again.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, we are have a huge caveat on everything at this point, but we're just putting together what we can. And there's a group of people right in front of the stage. Then there's a bit of a gap. I think people can see this on this aerial shot here. I don't know if that was, equipment or for some reason that area is cleared. But there's how many people would you say were in that crowd today, Jason?
So that kind of greenish spot you're looking at is water. There's just a water feature on what we call the quad, and it kind of graduates up so students can sit. And it's a great little sort of an amphitheater type thing where you can sit on the grass and look at whatever's going on down there. So again, I'm guessing 2,000 plus people. Charlie came out kind of right at noon local time, Mountain Time, throwing the hats, gearing up the crowd. They were having a little bit of a microphone problem, but everybody, they were chanting either USA or Charlie Kirk. And when they saw him backstage, they started chanting Charlie Kirk. They were really genuinely excited to see him. There were a few people. There was one gay pride flag there, but they were not disruptive. They were very respectful in every sense of the way. He came out and acknowledged them, said, hey, come down, be part of the discussion, which the crowd took really well. And that's the idea of Charlie Kirk, is that he'd answer things from anybody, and you can come stand. So there's that little grassy area, and there's security there, but you can come walk up there. They hand you a microphone, and you can ask and interact with Charlie. But the person that was asking the question, I don't think, again, if I had to guess, I don't think was the shooter. I think it happened behind that person. But I just,
Can I ask you, Jason?
I'm still in shock that it happened.
Of course. We're all just processing this, and you were there with your family. Obviously, you're shaken up, but you're doing a great job of, keeping us informed on the lay of the land here and what happened. He was tossing hats that said 47 on them, obviously in support of President Trump. What hospital would be the hospital that he would be taken to, or anyone who's injured in that area would be taken to, Jason?
Well, fortunately, we have a really good hospital, Utah Valley University, Utah Valley Hospital. All the level 1 trauma situations, if I get the numbers right, the highest degree of trauma. We're not used to dealing with a lot of shootings here in Utah, quite frankly, but if you had to extract somebody and get them there, it's a matter of minutes away. I don't know how quickly they were able to do that, but there is a very, very good medical situation right there. And then, of course, there are other options, but the closest one is right there in Provo. This happened in Utah, in Orem, right at off of I-15. And like I said, it's a commuter campus. There's no on-campus living. There's very little of that. Most of these students commute, and between BYU, which is a few miles away, and UVU, there's about 100,000 students. So we got a big student population. And this was a great afternoon.
And very much a community, as you say. Everybody lives close by. The Utah Valley Hospital, and I cannot confirm that this is where he was taken. We're just trying to figure out what would be logical. Has a level 2 trauma center. It is in Provo, Utah, as you said, Jason. So we're going to continue to get this information as it comes in, and we're trying to be obviously as accurate as we possibly can as we wait for an update on his condition. I know Jason's going to stay with us, and we thank you for that. I want to just bring in, we're going to go to the White House now for a moment. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posting on X, please pray. Everyone's prayers going up right now for Charlie Kirk. I'm joined by senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, reporting live from the North Lawn. Jackie, welcome. What can you tell us from the White House today?
Yeah, Martha, I just got this from a White House official. I'm told the Situation Room and the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, who's also serving as the Secretary of State, are both actively engaged. They're monitoring this situation, and they are in contact with state officials. So you've got the Situation Room here and Rubio looking actively into what is going on, receiving updates, and I've also inquired anything they know about the suspect or his condition. I haven't heard anything on that yet, but I did go up to Upper Press immediately when this news broke to see if anything was coming out on this, and I was told that it had just happened, and everyone was in the Oval Office. I was told we'd have an update soon from the president, and he did put that out. He posted on Truth Social, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. Now, remember, Charlie Kirk, who leads Turning Point USA, did a lot of work in support of the president's reelection campaign. Turning Point USA obviously engages young voters, conservative voters, and President Trump in this election really turned the tide among that demographic, which is historically an unreliable voting bloc, and turned out young voters. Charlie Kirk played a huge role in that. He was active in support of the president on the campaign trail and is obviously beloved by a lot of people here. We've seen well wishes coming out from everybody from the president to the vice president, the Secretary of War, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, everyone here just awaiting updates on his condition and also looking into actively who perpetrated this. So we'll bring you any other news that we have. But the breaking news from here is that the Situation Room and the National Security Advisor are monitoring this. Martha.
Jackie, thank you very much. The video that you're seeing right now on the right-hand side of your screen is people scattering, which is understandable after this shot rang out. We're told that it was one shot, but of course that is something that could change as we get more information on this too. But you can see the perspective here. I mean, it's just chilling, really. I mean, you watch all these people spreading out, and because, you know, we've had so many of these sorts of incidents, and people see, you know, school shootings and the like. This feels like something different. This feels like a very targeted attack in this case, but the scattering is what you would expect as people run for shelter and safety in this situation. Pam Bondi, as you can see on the bottom of your screen, about this shooting, the Attorney General of the United States saying that FBI agents are on the way. You can bet that this entire area will be secured as they begin an investigation into the direction of this bullet, where it was fired from. And obviously, as we continue to get information on this suspect, which we're told suspect in shooting is in custody, we can assume at this point that this person is alive. That's what we're reporting at this moment. We don't have any reason to think anything other than that. There are some videos of someone being taken down to the ground by police. We don't know if those are accurate or if those were, you know, someone in the crowd or indeed the person who pulled the trigger in this horrific and tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk. We're also waiting for more information, and we will bring it to you as soon as we get it, on his condition. No details yet, other than that this was obviously a very serious situation. And Jason Chaffetz reported, and we saw on video, that you can see Charlie Kirk hit and then falling back and to the left out of his chair where he was speaking at one of his very popular Prove Me Wrong sessions on college campuses. So we'll keep a close eye on new information. I want to bring in now, this is actually, let's start with this new statement from Utah Valley University. We had a speaker, Charlie Kirk, invited by a student group, Turning Point USA, speaking on campus today at noon. At about 12:20, shots were fired from a building about 200 yards from the speaker. Now, this is new. According to the best of our knowledge, the individual was hit and was taken away immediately by his security personnel. That individual, of course, is Charlie Kirk. Campus is closed for the rest of the day, and our campus police have a suspect in custody. So that is new information. 200 from a building, 200 yards from the shooter is the newest information from the university, and obviously the investigation is just beginning in all of this. Joining me now by phone, Fox News, Fox and Friends weekend co-host Charlie Hurt. He co-hosted the show with Charlie Kirk just a few weeks ago here in New York, and is a friend, someone who knows him well. Charlie, welcome.
Indeed, Martha. I count him as a very, very good friend, and I am absolutely shocked. And obviously, as you and all of your coverage so far have pointed out, this is just absolutely heartbreaking. And our prayers go out to Charlie and his beautiful family. It was just about an hour ago, actually, I was on the phone with Jason talking about other things. Jason Chaffetz talking about other things, and he told me that he was there waiting for Charlie Kirk and said there like 2,000 people have gathered on this beautiful day just to hear Charlie Kirk speak. And the description he gave was so beautiful. I asked him to send a picture of it to me, and he took a picture and sent it to me, and I showed it to my wife. We were driving somewhere, and I said, this is the kind of crowd that Charlie Kirk brings on a college campus. And as Jackie was just pointing out, Charlie is the best of America. Charlie is the kind of guy that likes to talk, likes to engage with people, and engage with people who aren't normally as active in politics as they should be or might be. And he's done it so brilliantly. And he is the best of what we have to offer. And the idea that something like this would happen to him, the reason our country works is because of people like Charlie Kirk. And the only way our country doesn't work is when people resort to violence in order to silence people like Charlie Kirk. And so right now I am praying for Charlie and his beautiful family, and I'm praying for our country too.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the impact of Turning Point on the last elections. And, we've seen the youth vote, young men in particular, really migrate over the past 10 years towards President Trump and towards conservatism on American campuses. So talk to us about that, Charlie.
And I think a lot of it has also to do with the idea that there was so much, especially on college campuses, that you're not allowed to talk about, and that there is so much indoctrination on college campuses today. And Charlie Kirk recognized that. He recognized it very early, and he recognized that he recognized it in a very personal way too, which is why he quit college. He spent enough time in college to realize that this was indoctrination. He wasn't like learning the great things you're supposed to learn when you go to college. And so he quit. And I've always admired that so much about him, that he walked away from college because he recognized how, we shouldn't say this about, every teacher out there and every college out there, but for the vast majority of these places, it is about indoctrination today. And he recognized that, and he walked away from it. And he also recognized an opportunity as a young man. I mean, he was like 18 when he started to recognize the importance of actually reaching those students who were like, who had been sort of shunted to the side in this indoctrination effort. And he talked to them in a very mature way, the way, if you're going to have a democracy, if you're going to have a country, a republic, where we are self-governed, you have to have people who are informed, and you have to have people who are educated, and people who can have debates. And Charlie met them at that spot, and he did it better than anybody I've ever known. And he reached them, and because he treated them as grown-ups, as intelligent people, and talked about the things that a lot of college professors didn't want them talking about, he reached them in a very powerful way. And that's why come 2024, in the last election, I would say that there's probably no person outside of President Trump himself who was more important at helping President Trump reach those people he needed to win re-election. I don't think there was anybody who was more important than Charlie Kirk was, and it was all because he believes in debate, and he believes in engaging people in the democratic process, which is what we're all about.
Well said. Charlie, thank you very much. We'll come back to you. Let's bring in Tomi Lahren, who was joining us today on the story. And obviously, Tomi, this is just an absolutely heartbreaking development this afternoon, and we're waiting to learn more about Charlie Kirk's condition. But your thoughts, Tomi, as you watch this unfold?
Well, Martha, I've known Charlie for over a decade. We really kind of started in this business together, and ever since he started TPUSA, I was one of the first people that was a speaker and a friend, and we've done many college campuses together, and I have since done many college campuses as a speaker for Turning Point USA, very similar to what Charlie was doing today. So this is so surreal for me. I'm praying for him. I'm praying for his family. This is just
so horrific. And I got to tell you, Martha, there are so many of us conservative speakers who go out and do these events, and we want to talk to people, and we want to engage, and we want to have dialogue and debate. And it's so difficult to even organize these events because the security situation is always really anxiety-inducing. I've been at TPUSA events at the University of New Mexico where the SWAT team had to be called in. I've been at an event at Clemson University that, of course, also had to have a big security presence because of the threats and the protesters. And it's just so sad that we've gotten to this point in this country where on college campuses where there should be so much dialogue and debate, this should be the epicenter for this discussion, has now turned into this environment where particularly conservative speakers have to fear for their lives when they go and just try to engage in a conversation. I'm so sickened to hear this. And like I said, first and foremost, I'm thinking of Charlie and his family.
Tommy, talk to us about Charlie, as a person, as a friend, as a husband, as a dad.
So Charlie, like I said, I've known him since we were both, I was in my very early 20s. I don't even think he was in his 20s yet when I met Charlie Kirk. But he's always just been a visionary, and he understood very early on that having a counterculture and having conservative speaking and speaking to young people in relatable ways was so important. And he has always been so dedicated to that, from the very beginning when the events were, a couple dozen people to maybe a couple hundred people. And now, of course, thousands of people come out to see Charlie Kirk and attend these Turning Point USA events. I mean, he really built this himself from a very young age, and he recognized that there was a void in conservative speech and in conservative speakers, especially on college campuses, and he recognized that, and he's worked so hard to create these events, and he does such a good job with them, and he's actually opened the door for so many young conservatives to have a career and have, a voice in this business. A lot of us really owe a lot to Charlie Kirk, and that's why another reason why this is just so sickening for us to see.
Yeah, the shooter is in custody. We want to emphasize that. We're waiting to learn more details here, both obviously first and foremost about Charlie's condition and then also about this suspect. I believe Charlie was 18 or 19 years old when he started Turning Point. And Tommy, thank you very much for being with us. We're all obviously praying for Charlie and praying for his family as we cover this story. Tommy, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker has spoken to a witness, and she joins us now. Nicole, obviously you have a deep understanding as a former FBI agent of what is unfolding as we speak, as this investigation gets underway. Tell us what you know.
All right, so Martha, first of all, everyone needs to pray. That is all we have right now. We have the power of prayer. I'm just going to tell you exactly what this witness told me. I have his permission to share this information, so I'm just literally going to read my notes. He was very close by when it occurred. He is a sophomore at Utah Valley University, the witness. He thought that there were around 300 to 500 people. It filled up the entire courtyard. He saw one shot go through Charlie Kirk's throat. He saw the shot go through, and the witness fell to the ground. He was there with two of his friends. It was outside under a tent area, and Charlie Kirk was sitting in a chair, and it was a single pop. He described it as a single pop. And he dropped over immediately, as I'm sure that everyone is seeing. There's a video out on social media. It is absolutely horrifying, and I do not recommend people to see that, but that is going to be key for law enforcement to have all of that video as evidence. He was about 20 to 30 feet away. The event was from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Charlie started speaking at around 12 p.m. This is Mountain Standard Time. And it was about, a few minutes into it. He said it was about an hour into, what he was witnessing, and it was a question and answer. And again, we've heard, but someone asked about the school shootings, and they asked how many school shootings have been committed by those of transgender, LGBTQ, in approximately the last 10 years. And then the next thing you know, the witness heard a gunshot. This witness said that you could not see where the shooter was, and that they are very, very shaken up by this right now.
Nicole,
obviously, we need a miracle.
Nicole, I don't know if you can hear me, But just stay with us. There is a witness speaking live right now. Let's watch.
I think on a broader scale, do you think it's going to kind of cause an uproar or anything?
Well, from what I'm hearing, if it's true, the guy who got shot, he was a pretty big influence in whatever was going, like their agenda, right? So I don't know. I hope it all like gets figured out, and I really don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. From what I heard, it was a sniper from a long ways away. So I don't know. I think the focus of this should probably be on probably some sort of gun control or something like that, so that things like this can't happen again.
Anything else? Thank you guys so much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Getting live reaction from people who were witnesses in Orem, Utah at Utah Valley University as Charlie Kirk was doing a Prove Me Wrong event on campus on a beautiful day at the university. Jason Chaffetz is back with us again, and he was there a short distance really away from the speaker. And we're looking, I'm not sure, this is live from KUTV on the screen here. I'm not sure what building this is that we're seeing. I don't know if Jason can see the building that we're looking at right now, but go ahead, Jason.
I think that's off campus. I don't know that that's, it's not a familiar part of it. The campus is largely cement and green.
I'm hearing it's regional hospital, Jason. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. See, now that it's zooming out, now this is Timpanogos Regional Hospital, which is Orem, which is probably a little bit closer to Utah Valley University. Yeah, that would make sense. In terms of proximity, that's the closest. It's not the level 1 trauma. Somebody said it was level 2, but level 1 trauma at Utah Valley. But nevertheless, if time is of the essence and you got to be somewhere fast, that's the one you're going to go to.
So we also had this information coming from the campus authorities, Jason, which according to their early take on this, they're saying it was from a building about 200, I want to get this right, 200 yards from the speaker, to the best of our knowledge. It says it happened at 12:20, which you of course know. But your thoughts on that, if indeed that turns out to be accurate?
Look, who am I to suggest that the authorities may have gotten it wrong? That may be a little bit preliminary. I was in one of those buildings. Those windows, a lot of those windows don't even open. I don't know. Charlie was sitting under an awning. This is sunken down. So if you're sitting where Charlie is, it graduates up. Now, are there angles where buildings are available and to a would-be assassin? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. I can tell you just sitting there, and again, maybe it's the emotion of it and not looking or expecting it, it seemed like the shot was closer and that it was more direct. But I just, where he got shot and finding the perpetrator, I just feel for his family, his wife, and I just can't even imagine.
Do you know if she was there today, Jason?
I didn't see her. I didn't see her. It doesn't mean that she wasn't there. Right. But like I said, my plan with Charlie was to try to get together with him afterwards. So I don't know. I didn't see her.
Yeah. I think we have a new post from the Vice President, J.D. Vance. Can we put that up? Do we have that up on the screen? All right, we're building that, but obviously everyone is really, I think, just making an effort to bring people together and to call for prayers across all of the universes that he crossed through, and there's a lot of them and a lot of people whose lives he touched. He started this in 2012, Turning Point. And he was, I think, 18 or 19 years old when he got this idea, and he left college, dropped out of college because he felt like there wasn't enough education happening in the university sphere. and really made it his life's work and passion to stimulate real dialogue and real debate among young people, which I think is truly, such a significant gift.
Oh, he's one of a kind. I mean, I really thought that years from now we'd be saying, yeah, President Charlie Kirk, because for a generation, nobody speaks to them like he does. He has built a coalition, and it's based on policy and argument, and it's based on a belief and challenging people. And he was stimulating a younger generation who wasn't getting it in the classroom. He was getting it online, and he was getting it going on television and doing on-campus things. I've been to a couple of his on-campus, and he literally will sit there and answer questions from anybody. And challenge them, and not always agree with them, and take sometimes a controversial position. But that's what he believed in America. And there is nobody in senior Republican politics that didn't admire and interact with Charlie Kirk. He is a political force that transformed the last couple of elections, and moving forward, incredibly influential because he won the argument, and that's what we hadn't seen in a generation.
Let's put up this new post by the Vice President, J.D. Vance, tweeting out this photo moments ago with the caption, "Dear God, protect Charlie in his darkest hour." This is obviously a photograph of Charlie and Donald Trump Jr. and Vice President J.D. Vance. I'm not sure who the individual is in between them, but we will find out. And, he has that huge smile on his face. He's a happy, happy warrior, Jason, and always has been. Yeah. And I think that's part of his appeal. And as you were saying, he helped, I think, younger people. He's helping younger people through Turning Point and through his podcast that is also very successful right now. He interviewed Gavin Newsom. He's trying to bring on different voices and, challenge people, kind of teaching people how to debate, how to ask questions, how to think about their approach, which I think is something that we're not getting a lot of on college campuses. And clearly, Charlie sees the void in that.
Yeah, look, I served in Congress for 8 years, right? I could walk around that campus and a few people would probably recognize me from my time on Fox, but thousands of people would recognize Charlie Kirk because he was talking to a whole new generation who, quite frankly, when I was elected, these kids were like 10 years old.
Right.
And now they've seen him, and they like him, and they watch again, and they learn to think. That's what kids are supposed to do at school. And he does that more than any other class you could ever take. You would watch him online and be able to see how to think. And you could come to your own conclusion, but he could argue both sides, and he usually had the winning side, the very conservative side.
Yeah, and I think that is, it sharpens everyone's argument when you have good, honest debate. And I think he does make the people that he debates sharper, makes them think about their angle and their comebacks. And, good debating is the basis of our society in many ways. And I think he has tapped into that and brought back that energy. Yes, please.
I just want to add this thing. Mm-hmm. When Charlie Kirk first started, the first speaker came up, and the question was about religion. And the guy wanted to debate the religion. Now, the community in Utah is very much members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he went out of his way to say, I am not here. I am here as a supporter of Jesus Christ. I am a supporter of God. I want people to pray. And we may disagree on certain things, but I love the LDS people. I love Mormons. And if you think that I'm here to debate your religion, I'm not. I love the LDS people. And the crowd cheered. Not everybody in that crowd is going to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But he tackled that right away from the first question. And I think he gave it the right, when we go back and play the video and you listen to his answer, he says what he's always said, which is get on your knees, pray. And he talked about your spiritual journey. So even though the person he was speaking with disagreed with him, he talked about your spiritual journey like my spiritual journey. And it was so well received. And then the second person came up to speak, and was given the mic. And that's when the question was, do you know how many people, and I'm not getting it verbatim, Martha, but do you know how many people of transgenderism have participated in gun violence and mass shootings versus non-transgender? And as Charlie Kirk was getting ready to answer that and have this discussion back and forth, that's when the shot rang out. And that's why we're sitting here now talking about it.
And that was at 12:20 Utah time. We're watching these images as people scattered from that place. Obviously very frightening for everybody there. Jason, stay with us. Thank you very much for being here. I know it's been a very emotional day for you and for your family. Joining me now by phone is Chris Swecker, former FBI Assistant Director. We have spoken with Chris on many similar occasions during shootings and the beginnings of investigations. And Chris, welcome. We know the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has said that the FBI agents are en route to this scene. Give us your reaction to what we're covering here today.
Yeah, I've been listening to the coverage with great interest. And, of course, you know, Charlie is an iconic personality and an iconic figure in conservative circles. And beyond that, even as you mentioned, he wants to hear from everybody. My mind goes immediately to the fact that this, because of who he is and where he was, this feels like political violence to me. And it's no consolation to his family or his friends or anyone else for that matter. But it does matter in the sense that, you know, when it's political violence, it's terrorism. And terrorism is a unique type of crime, if you will. It's trying to intimidate the public or a certain group of people into seeing their point of view or making some sort of political change. So, you know, the FBI is going to come in fast and hard on this one, and they're going to work it like it's political violence or terrorism until we see facts otherwise. So you'll see them on the scene very quickly and very prominent.
Do you have a sense, Chris? We have, Jason Chaffetz, who was on the scene and understands the terrain of this area, sort of an amphitheater setup, and the tent was at the base of it, and then the ground goes upward, as you can kind of see in this image. There are some balconies from around the outside, which I've seen people walking on. You can see one of them to the right there. That is part of this. This is moments before this happened. This is Charlie Kirk's own video from Turning Point that has been sent out of him getting ready for this big event. But the school has suggested that it came from 200 yards away, this shot, from a building. Jason Chaffetz felt that it came from closer in. Any thoughts on that, Chris Swecker?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at the layout as well, and I can say this. I was talking to a university today about organizing security around an event, something that would be similar to this. And that's not an optimum security situation where you're down, you're in a situation where pretty much anyone in this sort of amphitheater type arrangement can shoot down on you. You know, facts are still coming in. We don't really know where these shots came from, but it's what I'm looking at and what I've seen and what I've heard described. It looks like a security nightmare to me.
And as Jason Chaffetz was saying, I'm talking with former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker. He said, there really isn't much security in this environment. It's seen as a very friendly environment, campus environment, friendly to Charlie Kirk in Utah. So he said, there wasn't really much security, at least as far as he could see.
Yeah, I mean that's what we deal with in the academic environment. They don't want to see a lot of security at events like this because they feel like it inhibits the dialogue and the atmosphere. And I like to advocate for security, visible security as a deterrent. But much of your security you may want to keep out of sight in this type of setting. But this again, I don't know what the circumstances are here and what the security setup was. But at least the photos that I've seen and the layout that I've seen on the news reports, I don't see any security at all, which is kind of unusual. I mean, I'm sure there is some somewhere, but it doesn't look like there was a whole lot of visible security, which is, to me, is a deterrent. You know, we're seeing so much of this that you have to really overplan events like this and then hope that things go better than what you planned for.
You know, I know we talked to Tommy Lahren earlier, and she was saying that at certain college events that she does, and she's done many of these alongside Charlie Kirk over the years, as they were coming up in this, conservative speaker industry, for lack of a better word, over the last couple of decades, that there was security on a lot of campuses. But it seems that, at this one, perhaps they felt it wasn't necessary. And on the left-hand side of your screen is one of these debates, the Prove Me Wrong debates that Charlie Kirk has become famous for. Let me just ask you this, Chris. They say that a suspect is in custody. What's the process in terms of investigating on this property? Pam Bondi's saying that FBI and ATF are on the scene.
Yeah, they're going to have to set up a unified command post, and most of the police chiefs and the first responders and the federal agencies all know what that means, and so they gather up, and very quickly they will sort of have a joint unified command, sharing the FBI with the local police chief. I doubt the campus chief would be in that role. I think it would be the local police chief. And I think at the very beginning of this, at the front end of this, the FBI is going to run the show. This looks very much like, and there's almost a presumption that this is an act of domestic terrorism. We can always back off from that if we need to,
right.
But that's where they're going to start from, and they're going to start with that unified command post.
Yeah. I'm looking at this video. If we can take this full, you can just see there's a lot of balconies really all around this property, this campus quad. A lot of open balconies, so we're going to continue to get more information. Chris Wecker, thank you, as always. It's good to have you with us. I'm sorry it's on this news. So let's check back in with senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, who has told us that they are convening in the Situation Room to get the very latest on this. Jackie.
Yeah, Martha, no updates from here just yet. I've been texting with officials. I went up to Upper Press again to see if anyone was in their offices or had anything new for us. The doors are all closed up there. There were just some press aides saying, we'll keep you posted. There's a lot of concern written on their faces. And Charlie Kirk is someone who is, endeared to all of them as a conservative, as a person who was engaging Gen Z voters, and they were all visibly horrified to learn the news of his condition. I was told earlier this afternoon, just a short time ago in your hour, Martha, that the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, who also serves as Secretary of State, as well as the Situation Room, were monitoring and also looking at.
Jackie, 1 second, thank you. Apologize. Let's go to this witness on the scene.
A little bit backstage, and I turn and look, and they were arresting a guy by the name of George Zim. Yeah, I know the guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharp shooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart, and we need to find out who did this. I think there should be a research completely done that took place hours, maybe a day before anything went on. Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Zim. He was poor, broke. He maybe was on medication, a little bit loony boon, maybe a perfect person.
All right, we're going
to
to break in here. You've been listening to live coverage, St. Louis's Fox News radio affiliate here, 97.1 FM Talk. The live coverage coming directly from Fox News on this absolutely tragic event taking place at a Utah university. Charlie Kirk has been shot at yet another one of these events that he goes and attends and opens discourse for people who agree with him and disagree with him. A man opened fire and hit Charlie Kirk. His condition, there have been zero official reports on the condition of Charlie Kirk. And you've been listening to that live coverage here. Mark Reardon, who's going to take the helm here at 3 o'clock, is in studio with me. Mark, I assume you're going to be following this closely. We do not know if Charlie Kirk is dead or alive at this point.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said, and my instinct was there's no way he survives this. We're getting some encouraging reports. There's some folks out there, including Megyn Kelly, that have heard from people that he's been stabilized. So I would suggest that people do not look at the video because it's horrific, but I would be really, it would be a miracle, and maybe that miracle is going to happen. But we're going to go back into Fox live coverage. We're going to manage that here certainly in the next hour and get reaction throughout the afternoon.
All right, let's get back into
Breaking news. 97.1, covering it live.
Right?
because there are some commonalities here. A crowd, a shot that may have come from a ways away. It shows you how lucky we got in Butler when you consider the horrific video that's going around relative to poor Mr. Kirk. And, you know, what can you say about the fact that this seems to be ultimately where all of our, I mean, he was an influential figure. He was somebody who knew how to go out and speak to the youth. He was in colleges, and that made him, I am sure, a major irritant to a lot of people out there that don't agree with him. So, as Chris Swecker said, this is almost certainly going to be looked at as terrorism now. It's likely domestic, and so there isn't really a charge for that. But they're going to proceed from here as if this was a political thing, that this was obviously quite targeted, and it's going to be a voluminous investigation. We just hope that poor Charlie